What's going on, folks? This is Thrifty. This is Thrifty's Gaming News Podcast, replacing the old thoughts with Thrifty, because as you can tell tonight, it's not just Thrifty here. Tonight, guys, we have a amazing show for you. We have Puertorock 77 from 60 Frames No Lag, also holding it down on the streets of Twitter. We have RPGaming here. This is his second appearance. Be gentle. And we will get this started off. Tell you what, let's go ahead and give the floor to the new guy, RPGaming. What's going on, brother? What games you playing? What are you doing?
Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, what's up, chat? What's up, panel? Puertorock, Thrifty. Games I'm playing right now. See, I am enjoying a lot of the Poker Stars VR. I've been playing that quite a bunch here the last, 24 hours or so. A lot of Jedi Survivor. I finally pushed myself to get past the 60 frame ordeal and whatnot. That's really about it. A little bit of Call of Duty here and there, but not too much.
Okay. I didn't really think you might have been a Call of Duty type guy, but all right. I like seeing folks who are keeping franchises alive. Puertorock, what, Puertorock, what kind of games are you playing, man? What you into right now, man?
Hey, what's going on? Right now, I'm playing Forspoken. Um, I put Hogwarts Legacy on hold because that game is really long and I'm really enjoying it. But I had to start on Forspoken. I'm really enjoying that game. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go back to Hogwarts, finish that off, and then I'm gonna go into Burning Shores.
Man, that's awesome. I
Mm.
still have not beat Forbidden West yet, and actually, Forbidden West is the screensaver for tonight. It's the backdrop for tonight. Uh,
Beautiful
because
backdrop.
yeah, we got to talk about how bad Horizon failed and how bad Horizon sucked, and just the fact that Guerrilla kept their mouth shut for so long. Everybody, that must mean that the game was a big, huge flop. So we're going to talk about that tonight, and figured I'd have an ode to it up in the background. So with that, Porter, what kind of games are you into? Like, what's your type of what kind of games do you like?
It's probably easier to answer what games I don't like. And the games I don't like is racing games and puzzles, like pure puzzles. And I don't like racing games of any type. I don't really like any game that's like just driving or an automobile. So like racing games, piloting games, I just find that gameplay really, really boring. I don't like pure puzzles. I don't really find them fun. I like puzzles within games like Resident Evil or something like that. Then I don't mind that. But like things like Tetris or or anything like that, I'm not really into. Don't really care for that much.
Okay, okay.
So, but everything else is pretty much uh, every other genre. I pretty much enjoy RPGs of various types, whether it's JRPG, action, and also I'm not big on strategy games.
Okay. Okay.
Real time strategy. I'm not saying the bad, just never really got into it. Yeah, so that's another one.
You talk about
So
like
like I
Age of
said,
Empires, kind of civilian or
yeah.
civilization or any of those.
No, I think more like StarCraft. Uh, the how would you say? Well, I don't know. I never really played Age of Empires.
Uh, do,
Civilization I played, and that's not bad. But
okay,
that's like
so
turn based. So that's like turn
like
based.
Final
So that's
Fantasy
cool.
Tactics, maybe like Tactics
Tactics,
Ogre.
actually, I enjoy tactics, and I enjoyed also and like Valkyrie Chronicles or Chronicles of Valkyria. Or
Oh,
yeah, right.
yeah, the
Valkyria
Valkyria
Chronicles.
Chronicles. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, but that's kind of like it was a different take. Um, so I did enjoy that for the most part.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
multiplayer, anything like that?
So I used to be big on multiplayer, but I would say like especially during the OG Xbox, PS2, PS3, 360 time era. Man, I love the multiplayer. I love playing sports games on the multiplayer. But then with the PS4, merged over to like Destiny. Or I used to play Destiny, the first one, like rock hard. I was playing. Elder Scrolls Online, like to death. And then at a certain point around Destiny 2, like I started realizing that I was putting too much time into multiplayer, which was making me miss out on variety on all these types of games. So then, like on the multiplayer side, I just like died down on it on Ultra. I don't even play Call of Duty. I don't really play sports multiplayer as much anymore because I'm trying to get more access to all the content that's out there. But for a while, that's all I was really doing, which was Elder Scrolls Online. If it wasn't that, it was Destiny. If it wasn't that, it was most likely a sports game or something. Then I'm realizing, like, wait a minute, like, what's going on
You can't, yeah, man, you can't. That's actually why I stopped playing Diablo 3 because it's just a grind. You get to a certain point where you're like, man, there's all these other things I want to play and I haven't been able to yet. RP, what you got, man? What kind of games like? What's your favorite genre? Let's go there with you. What's your favorite genre of games?
So more of like RPGs or uh, action RPGs. That's my thing right there. I like the racing here and there. I bought and played GT7 a little bit. Uh, the racing genre, I more care for what actually Xbox offers with the Forza and the open world Forza Horizons. Um, Puzzles, yeah, puzzles work good for me in the action era. You know, with like things like action horror with Resident Evil 4 and stuff like that. But there's also some pretty good puzzles there in Jedi or Horizon or even God of War has some great puzzle areas in it. Um, but yeah, I would say probably RPGs or action RPGs, and then you got to have your Call of Duty, your multiplayer with your friends and whatnot. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at with that.
Awesome, awesome. So I have in the background right now playing the recap movie from Horizon Forbidden West. So we're just gonna dive on in. Horizon sucked so bad, man. It was the worst game ever. It looks like dog water. Man, I remember when it came out, Elden Ring kicked its rear end from here to the edge of the planet. So let's read how it turned out for Horizon. Horizon Forbidden West is now one of the best-selling PS5 games from PlayStation Lifestyle. It has reached new sales milestones for Guerrilla and Sony Interactive Entertainment. The companies revealed this morning that the game has sold more than 8.4 million copies. 8.4 million. And it sucked, making it one of the PS5's best-selling first-party games thus far. All right, so they go on to say that the Horizon franchise has sold 32.7 million units, right? So we have this problem where if we don't get 10 million in sales announced within 2 weeks of the game coming out, we automatically classify it as a failure, right? We have this thing where if it doesn't hit God of War, if it doesn't hit Elden Ring, if it doesn't hit Hogwarts, then the game was a failure. So let me ask y'all what y'all's thoughts were. Like back then, try to remember what P-Rock and what RPGaming were thinking about a year ago when this game came out and then Elden Ring came out about 2 weeks after, and then Guerrilla just went silent. What were y'all's thoughts on that? P-Rock, we'll start with you, man. Uh,
here? Okay. No, because it was going in and out for my meaning. I didn't really have a thought. Um, a lack of something doesn't mean is a sign of failure, right? At a certain point, you raise the bar, right? So if you have a game that, let's say, if you have games that are now selling 10 million in 2 weeks, right? That doesn't make another game that sells 8 million in a year a failure. It's just it's just not worth mentioning it anymore, right? When you raise the bar, right? You know, when you raise the bar, then everything you've done previously is not worth mentionable and stuff like that. When Horizon for the Best wasn't announced, they didn't announce sales or nothing. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's a failure, it's forgotten." Yet Sony like talking about a TV show, VR, and I'm like, well, if this game's in franchise a failure, then why are they investing in TV shows? And one of the headliners for VR is Horizon Zero Dawn game, and now we got word that they're making a third one. And if you played the game, you probably already knew that. So I'm like, just because they didn't mention the current sales, it's probably only because when it comes to announcement of sales, certain games are now reestablishing a new bar, right? So everything before that is just not even worth mentioning anymore, you know? But that's not the same as equating it to failure. That just didn't make sense to me.
Well,
It just
we all
didn't. Like, oh, this game's a failure. And Sony out here, oh, we're going to do a TV show. Oh, we did a spin-off for VR. Oh, we're going to make part 3. Oh, we made the DLC and it's exclusive to PS5. And I'm like, in my opinion, Sony doesn't consider this a failure if they're willing to invest in all these things based off the game. It just didn't make sense.
Well, the whole point behind the whole counter argument that people were making for that was that, well, Sony's already invested so much in it, and these things were probably in the works, and the game sold so bad, but now Sony's money is tied to this. And so, like, as we have seen, though, Sony has no problem walking into a place that's 4 years in on a game and going, hey, guys, listen, this ain't it. Like, y'all are...
That,
right?
No one told me that, because I'm like, are we talking about the same PlayStation? They will shut a studio down and move on. Like, they have no problems saying, yeah, we're not doing this. Shut it down, close it out, and then just move on to the next project. I don't think they... in fact, what was it? God of War, before the 2018, the build that they put in, that...
Yoshi
yeah, Yoshida said, hell no, we're not doing that. He says either change it or the franchise is done.
Yeah.
So Sony has no issues with closing down studio, shutting down a project. They have no issues with that. So it wasn't that either. What it was, this is the reality. What it is a lot of those are trying to fabricate failure. So that way, the brand that they do prefer is not alone in failure. As the term goes, misery loves company. So all it is just fabrication. How can we fabricate failure so that way this particular brand is not alone in this failure, which is a dumb logic. Like, I don't understand the logic of trying to blow out another person's candle to make yours burn brighter. Like, no, focus on your own candles. It just didn't make sense.
Man, that'll preach, P-Rock. My goodness, you right there with that inspirational stuff tonight. RP, what did you see it as a sign that, hey, you know what, they usually announce, like, hey, this game has sold this much since launch, thank you so much, and Guerrilla said not a freaking word. Did at that point, I know for me personally, I was like, man, it's a great game, but it's gonna have to do kind of what Forbidden West or what Zero Dawn did, where it had its initial push, but then sold better and faster the longer it was on the market. Like, Zero Dawn didn't come out to just wildly successful sales, but it ended its first year, and when I say come out, I mean like within the first couple months, because it ended its first year at like 7.5. So it was like, as word of mouth came, I can't remember what game they dropped next to Zero Dawn.
Wasn't it Breath of the Wild?
Oh, yes, it was. So
yeah,
when the red team slaughtered the blue team's game, and like then the next month everybody went out and was checking out Horizon, they dropped it down on sale. I got it for $15. Like, they did this whole thing, but when they were silent, I was like, oh man, that sucks. Because, right, puff out your chest a bit. Like, I know we're Sony. Like, I know I'm not Sony. I'm not. I'm Thrifty. I have a PlayStation. But, like, the brand that we prefer is Sony, right? And I know that they don't always puff out their chest, but come on, man. You were going up against the juggernaut of Elden Ring. Like, if you even sold 7 million copies within the first few weeks, like, I wanted you to say something. Face fuchsia's... okay. And so, RP, what you got? What was your thought?
So, a lot like Breath of the Wild. So, Zero Dawn dropped, and then Breath of the Wild dropped. Or it could have been a reverse. I can't remember that far back. But I'm pretty sure Horizon and Zero Dawn dropped, then Breath of the Wild dropped. So, that's two massive games. I mean, you got the history of Zelda. And then you got this newcomer that came from a studio that was making Killzone, a first-person shooter. You had one person out there that was just new in the field, and then you had a known IP. They had zero chance as far as the marketing. You know, who are you going to look at? This new robot, you know, bow and arrow IP? Or you can look at Zelda, the same thing that your parents grew up playing. When it came to Forbidden West, there was a lot of build-up behind it. There was a lot of hype. And then you had Elden Ring that dropped, what, 3, maybe 4 weeks after Forbidden West? It could have even been shorter than that. It might have been less than 3 weeks. So Elden Ring drops, and every streamer, whether it be Twitch, whether it be YouTube, wherever it was at, is dropping their Elden Ring, and you know these streams are going on. Elden Ring blew up way bigger than anybody thought that it was going to. Even the people who created Elden Ring was like, "Holy crap, this is going insane." It got crushed by Elden Ring and the hype train that was behind Elden Ring. As far as calling Forbidden West a flop, there is no way. I didn't see that as a flop. I played Horizon Forbidden West up to, I want to say, the last mission, only because that last mission, I got my stuff drugged through the dirt on that last mission. And then Elden Ring dropped. I dropped Forbidden West. I went on to Elden Ring. I played Elden Ring about a quarter way through and got to the same point, got my stuff drugged through, and then I went back and beat Horizon Forbidden West about 2 weeks before the new DLC dropped. So to say that it's a flop, I mean, you're sitting at 32.7 million copies sold between Zero Dawn, Call of the Mountain, and Forbidden West. I don't see that as a flop at all. I mean, if you want to look at a flop, how many copies of Redfall actually sold on the Xbox? That's where you need to look at your flop.
Hey, now we're not to them just yet. We'll get there we will get there in a little bit. We're not
it's always
there
the
yet.
Shot you don't see coming.
Bro, it's so bad, guys. It's so freaking terrible. There have been shows that I have seen that have literally covered the same speech and the same responses to his little interview, like 3 times, and every time we find new crap to talk about with it. Like, it's just that, it's the many facets of Phil's failure. Like, it's just awful. And I know RP's seen my stuff before. Puertorock, I don't know if you have. I try to make sure that I, kind of balance out a bit, right? I want to cover PlayStation. I want to cover Xbox. I'm going to mention the Red Team tonight. I will not mention them by name because I don't want anything. I had a whole article read planned. I had a whole, thing that I was going to send y'all that we could discuss. But, I own a PS5 and my kid has a Switch. And I guarantee you he still plays my PS5 more than the Switch because he hates the way that the games look on his compared to mine. But anyways, it's let's go ahead and get into the next topic, which we'll call this one Rumors, Rumors, and More Rumors. So we have the PlayStation Showcase. Supposedly, the summer rumors have started again. We dealt with it last year. We're dealing with it this year. People are talking about it. I'm trying my best not to get hyped. On 60 FNL last night, y'all had me almost hyped for this daggum thing. And if it happens, I need it to be an hour long with 10 trailers and a couple pieces of hardware. Just get in, get gone, get out. But what are y'all looking for from the showcase? RP, since P-Rock went last time, you can go first this time. What are you, outside of Spider-Man, what are you looking for most from the showcase?
I'm really looking forward to seeing if we get any updates on Factions 2, or whatever that game is going to be called, because the jury's still out on that one. I would really like to see what they're going to do with how they're going to approach the new Ghost, because that is using the Decima engine, I believe, from Kojima. That's one I'm really interested in. I was really kind of iffy on the Ghost of Tsushima until I tried it, and then once I tried it, I was hooked. Oh yeah, definitely keys, definitely Pacific Drive. I got PSVR too. I'm definitely gonna hit that one. Shoot, let's see. I don't think we're gonna see anything Resident Evil related with Capcom, just because they put out 4 not too long ago. I really want to see if there's an ordeal with this so-called rumor between Sony and somebody else. So I will not jump ahead on that one.
Now you can talk about it. They kind of blend together. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm really, like I said, it's all a rumor, but I'm really wanting to see whether or not that's going to be a thing, and if they bring back a remake of the I want to say PS2 game, that's going to be very interesting.
Talking about MGS3.
Yes, Snake Eater.
Gotcha.
See, the only MGS I played was the original PlayStation 1 Metal Gear Solid. That's the only one I played, that's the only one I tried, and no, I did not beat that one, but I watched my friends beat that one. I want to see what Sony's got up their sleeve as far as new IP. Stuff that's going to blow the roof off of that showcase. People that see things that they never even could think of. That's the real winner right there for me.
Okay. Like, I get that. Me, it's Ghost of Tsushima, but I want Ghost of Tsushima too. P-Rock, what's your? I know you kind of discussed this last night, so sorry for making you do it twice in a row. But what kind of are you looking for from the showcase?
I think if there is a showcase, I think Factions 2 has to be there, and I don't think that's more of a. I mean, I want Factions 2 to be there because I would love to see what a full-fledged Naughty Dog, like multiplayer live as a service game, like dedicated, what they could pull off. But I think it just needs to be there, period. Because if PlayStation has a showcase and Factions 2 is not there, that's going to bring up a lot of concern. Because then when do you show it? If you don't show it at your showcase, I think that would be a huge criticism and a lot of concern. People could have waited, and especially like when it was announced back in 2018, I think it was 2019, that they were doing this. So I think Factions is a big one. I would love to say Wolverine, but that's not going to happen only because Spider-Man is the next big thing. And I don't think Samir is going to want to take away from Spider-Man. So I would imagine Spider-Man is going to would be a big part of the showcase. But I think another so Gorilla is kind of confusing, right? Because and this is why, right? Because a couple of years ago they hired some of the devs that did Rainbow Six Siege. So obviously they didn't hire them to do, Horizon, Forbidden West. So clearly they're working on a multiplayer game of some sort. I'm just wondering, is it ready to be shown at a showcase? So I'm wondering if Guerrilla will have something. Some people, I'll be honest, I hope it's not Killzone. I think people are nostalgic. I think overall the franchise is just not that good. I think its best was when it was Killzone 2, and then everything else was mediocre. I think they should just move on from that franchise. I don't think it has a very positive name. Unless they reboot it and do something miraculous, I think as a franchise is already tarnished. In my opinion, I think they should take over the SOCOM franchise. It's a Sony IP, and I think there's more people that are more positive about that IP and would love to see that IP come back. So I'm hoping that's what they're doing. I'm hoping, I would love to see SOCOM come back. Obviously modern, all that stuff. It's pretty strange. It's pretty weird because I'm kind of like what RPG is saying. I would like to see just new IPs that knock it out the park, but I would not mind getting more confirmation on like Metal Gear. Rumor has it supposedly Metal Gear Solid 3 by Blue Point. That would be amazing. I would think that would be absolutely amazing. Um, Castlevania. I would like them to show a little bit of Silent Hill. But then if they show Silent Hill, I don't know if Castlevania will be there too. Because I don't think Konami again would, double tap. You know. So yeah. And then also I would say also a little bit of VR. If they're really serious about VR, they're gonna have to show something blockbuster. Even if it's like an announcement of Half-Life Alyx, they really need to. That would be also a concern. If they don't show like big projects for VR for PSVR 2, that would be an issue. Because then people would be like, wait a minute, you just released PSVR 2, and you didn't show anything VR on the showcase. That would raise some flags right there.
Yeah, like, hey, you gave us these 30 games, thank you, but you're giving us no roadmap. I mean, I'm not a VR guy. I need it to be inside a store so I can actually try the stupid thing on and see how I like it, because I refuse to spend $500 on something that I may or may not like. But the thing that I'm nervous about, and the show last week I covered games as a service, and that article that came out saying that they had 12 or 10 in the pipeline, 12 or 10 in the pipeline.
I think it was 12.
I think it's 12. And
Yeah, sounds
over
right.
the next year, and I'm like, dear God, why? So let me ask you, because I do want to get your opinion on this. What's your take, P-Rock, on games as a service?
So like I said, I played Destiny 2, so when done well, it's good. When done badly, it's terrible, right? I don't think games as a service in generally is bad. It's just I'll put it this way: games as a service as a concept is my concern, because to me, certain games don't need to be games as a service, but because of the opportunity to make more money than releasing a single player game or something. That to me is what some people are concerned about. Like for one example, I don't think Marvel's Avengers should have ever been a games as a service game. I don't think Suicide Squad should be a games as a service game. I mentioned this on my podcast, and I talked about it with Jay Barry and Persona and them and everybody else. That I think at this point in time, when it comes to comic book hero games, more people just simply want to play the story of their favorite character.
Facts.
Simply because the previous it wasn't until Arkham Asylum that a developer truly showed that you could take a comic book game and make it into a AAA event Game of the Year runner. At a minimum, a contender for Game of the Year. That wasn't done before. Most of the time, comic book games were cash grabs, some better than others. I remember Spider-Man on PS2 was like a big deal, but it was nothing. But even then, it wasn't the type of game that that people would look at as, this thing could go compete with Halo, or this game could compete with Grand Theft Auto, or this game could compete at the Game of the Year type level. It was never that game. None of those games were that until Arkham Asylum came along. And Arkham Asylum, what Rocksteady did, it set the blueprint of, wait, hold up now. There's no excuse to where you can release a comic book game and have these comic book characters, and they will be up there among the ranks of some of the best games of that year, maybe even during the gen. Insomniac then comes along and shows us, hey, we'll take a Spider-Man game and we're going to make it bigger than it's ever been. And they did that. So after seeing Arkham Asylum, Batman and the Arkham series, and when Insomniac's doing the Spider-Man, and then all of a sudden Insomniac shows a trailer of Wolverine, so now potentially we're going to get a big blockbuster AAA Wolverine. Now everybody wants that. Everybody wants their favorite character to get the same treatment. People are talking about Black Panther, Punisher. How far can we go? Daredevil, The Flash.
Oh, we definitely need an Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man. I think it was even mentioned.
Isn't EA supposedly working on
I
Iron
think
Man?
EA is working. Yeah, I think EA is working on Iron Man.
I mean, they got the groundwork with Anthem.
And then somebody said the other day that there's a rumor going out, since we're in the rumor section anyways, They said that there's a rumor that Warner Brothers, because of the success of Hogwarts, wants to do a Superman video game and wants PlayStation to either have it as exclusive or run the marketing like they did for Hogwarts.
Yeah, so I read that somewhere. I don't know if it was on Twitter, saying that they were like a Superman to be as successful at Hogwarts, but they are making a Wonder Woman. Monolith, I think, is making Wonder Woman. So that was announced. You see, but then there's other characters. There's Green Lantern, Aquaman, So everybody has all these characters that they want to get the same treatment, and then out of the blue, we get like Marvel's Avengers, and people thought, okay, that's cool. You do it as a team, but then when you play, you're like, man, it doesn't. Games as a service doesn't carry out the same as an actual focused single player. And
No.
so in those situations, that's where people have concerns of gas games, where because of the need to generate more money, you can lose sight on what should have been an actual awesome project, right? But if you got a game from the beginning that's supposed to be a gas game, like Destiny or Warframe, Fortnite, it could be done very well, and people enjoy it, and you get, and it'll be some of the biggest games that are out there, like Factions 2. I would say that's a great candidate for a gas game. I don't mind the decision that they made. Instead of a multiplayer game that's combined with, traditionally the old school method of, you have a single player, multiplayer, and you release as a package, them saying, you know what, we're just going to take Factions and just make it into a big, games as a service, support it for the long term. I think that's a good idea. And I think that model for that game will have more longevity on PlayStation.
As long as the gameplay is solid. That's the big thing. That's the big thing right there.
Yeah, but think about it. It's dedicated though. It's dedicated. They treating it as its own project. So, it wasn't tied to the release of the single player game. It's a standalone title, standalone focus, long term commitment. So because look at Factions on The Last of Us 1. It was a great game, but it's niche right now. Not a lot of people play it. There's still people playing it, but let's just say it's not as big as Destiny or Fortnite or Overwatch, or you know what I'm saying?
Oh, we gotta look at the Ghost of Tsushima, the Legends.
Oh, Legends was so freaking fun.
Yeah, and it was great, but how many people are playing it now?
Not enough to keep it active.
But think about it. In order to keep it active, you have to release a lot of content, but the problem is it's not its own standalone games as a service game, and that's the advantage of games as a service game. Like, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, if that would have been a standalone dedicated games as a service, people would probably still be playing it now. You probably would have gotten new content, new raids. So that's where games as a service can easily have this advantage. Again, the dark side of games as a service is it could tend to have a publisher tell a developer, don't make a single player game, make a games as a service because we'll generate more money, and then you end up with Marvel's Avengers, which they ultimately shut down the servers.
Well,
because that's not what people really want.
I'm sure you saw the rumor also from Zubitech. I don't know where that dude gets his information from, but he's right on a lot of things, and there's a lot of folks, not just like in the circles that I follow, but there's random videos that I hear sometimes on autoplay from YouTube that are just like, yeah, Zubitech posted about this, and here's these numbers, and da-da-da. So people take what he says very, like, if he says it is what it is. But he posted the other day, and I have still yet to be able to find any validity to this, that the head or ex-head of DICE and EA Games as a Service marketing crap, all of that stuff.
Oh, you almost did it.
Shut up. I know. Toolman's gonna have to.
Rumor. I think he got that from a.
Wasn't that a Wikipedia thing?
I think he got it from a LinkedIn.
A LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn
okay.
or Wikipedia. Yeah.
Because I looked for articles, I looked for people covering it, because that's a big thing. Like, that terrifies me. I am so scared of Ubisoft, EA, or Activision Blizzard touching anything that has to do with the PlayStation that I love. Like, because you're right, P Rock. Lend they lend developers to deceitful practices because here's the deal, and Factions is going to be its own standalone thing, and I think they're going to do it right, and they're going to make it look gorgeous. I think they're going to save it for Summer Games Fest. Only reason is because, oh shoot, who puts on Summer Games Fest? Why can't I think of his name?
Jeff Keighley.
Thank you, Jeff Keighley and Neil Druckmann. They've kind of done Last of Us stuff at the last two Keighley events, I believe. And so, like, it makes sense to kind of keep that relationship with Jeff Keighley. And so that's what I think. But games as a service absolutely terrifies me because there's always some sort of, okay, you just spent your money, now you have to spend more, right? Now you have to put in more and keep putting in. I would be more okay if they gave us the Horizon Fortnite West thing that they're trying to do and say, hey, this game is free. Here's packs you can buy. It's going to run and operate kind of just like Fortnite. And we're going to have these other modes in it. We're going to be able to do team-ups, hunts, stuff like that. And it's all in that more cartoony style. And I think that game would pull in so many children of so many adults that play Horizon that, like, it would be a no-brainer to make that thing free to play. It already looks very mobile from some of the leaks that we saw. And so if they go free to play on that, then I think they can actually make their money, and I wouldn't consider it that bad. But if you're wanting to charge us $70, and then on top of that, give me a battle pass, give me weekly passes, loot crates, or some sort of gem crate, man, I think I'd lose it. So, RP, what's your thoughts on games as a service?
I don't really mind them. I've played many games as a service, whether it be Destiny, whether it be something kind of like Call of Duty. I don't really have much of an issue, but when it comes to the quality of the game as far as the story or the single person aspect, and that's kind of where I have a little bit of an issue. With this rumored Horizon games as a service game, from the leaks I've seen, I think it's going to be what would happen if you took Fortnite and you smash that together with the Monster World Hunter. That's what I think we're going to see. Other than that, games of a service is surviving on the people who actually buy this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that shows up in the shops and these games as a service games or these multiplayer games I play, I don't buy. And that's just how you react against that. As far as like DLC content, yeah, if there's something like Burning Shores that comes out, it's a $20 expansion, yeah, I'm gonna throw my money into that. I got a good 15-hour chunk out of that $20. So that to me is worth it. But as far as the skins and whatnot, if you don't want it, don't buy it.
So, it's one thing, P-Rock mentioned this, that it lends developers to kind of that avenue. Like, you have to make sure that your developers aren't going to try to screw you over. And the reason why this bothers me is because I've played mobile games before, and every single mobile game, sans like 10% of them, there's paid purchases within the app, right? Almost every single one. And you play it. You're going to be one of those guys, no, I'm just going to play it for free. I'm not going to do any type of spending. So you download the game, you get it, you play it, and then, maybe you make it a month and a half. You're kind of higher level now. You're kind of doing your thing. You're gathering these resources, and boom, they hit you for this, hey, do you want this little booster pack? They Ubisoft you, right? They hit you with, hey man, you're level 30 now. Now it's taking you forever to level up in Valhalla. And like, now buy this. And then they got you because it's like $3 and you're going to go, well, dang man, I put like 100 hours into this game. I should probably support it. Well, then you pay $3. Then the next thing that comes out, the next little booster pack they send you is $5. Now, I know that video games on console don't usually do stuff that bad, right? I get that. But that's my huge, huge fear. I don't want to see my franchises turned into milking cows, right? I already have to deal with that to a certain extent with Square Enix because they will literally slap Final Fantasy's name on damn near any one of their types of properties, and people will buy it, and they know that. And dear God, if they put Cloud in it, that's an automatic million in sales. Like, it's insane. And so I hate it when companies bastardize their franchises and whore them out like they're on Bill Street in Memphis. Like, it's just bad. And so that's my thoughts on games as a service. I know that wasn't one of the topics, but I also know that everybody has kind of their own opinion on that. And because of the new hire of the EA and then ex-DICE executive now heading up our games as a service, I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts on that.
There's definitely cause for concern on that.
Like,
but I mean, time's going to tell really on when it's all done and said. We're going to have to see the proof in the pudding.
Yeah. So, P-Rock, PlayStation has taken some L's, right? I mean, they're trying to get us... There's rumors that they're going to try to get us to buy a Q Lite. There's rumors that they were going to release a PS5 Pro this year, and that would just, everybody said that would cannibalize their sales if they did that, and it was a rumor, and... There were these wild theories that Microsoft started these rumors to drop the sales numbers of the PS5. Like, they've had to deal with some things, right? They had to deal with Forspoken. It's not one of their titles, but it is exclusive to their console, right? So, PlayStation takes these L's. They close down Japan Studios. They close down Pixel Opus. And, like a couple days go by, and nobody gives a crap anymore. Like, nobody cares. And it's like, everything is okay in PlayStation's world. Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think PlayStation is doing where they can do stuff like that, close down studios, and then everybody's like, it's fine, whatever. Like, what? Why does that happen with PlayStation, but when Xbox does it, holy crap. It's just it's just a storm, and the media, the YouTubers are all over it, Twitter's all over it, and the sky is burning. What did Sony do right? Like, what did they do? Did they have us all Jedi mind tricked? Like, how are they doing this?
So, I mentioned this before, but I compare it to sports teams, right? Like, what's your favorite sport?
Football.
So, football, okay. So, if Kansas City Chiefs, let's say, loses the season, is it that big of a deal for the Chiefs and the Chiefs fans? Sure, it's a disappointment, but is it that huge of a deal? Like, is the franchise a disaster if they make it to the playoffs and lose?
No.
Now, what if the Detroit Lions has another losing season? You see the difference? So, like, when you have a franchise that generally wins, that makes it to the playoffs, win championships, you can't expect perfection. That just doesn't make sense, right? But they do have the keys and knowledge to be able to be a competing team, as compared to like the Detroit Lions or the New York Jets. We use that also, where they just fumble all the time. Then the two can't be compared. Like, you can't compare the New York Jets having issues with Kansas City Chiefs, like losing a game, whatever. They're just on two different wavelengths, right? Because that this team, establishes a pedigree of competitiveness and be able to win championships, while the other one, year after year after year after year, they just flounder, right? So, like, when PlayStation messes up, like, like I said, some of the PlayStation mess ups, it ain't really a mess up. Like, a rumor of a PS5 Pro is not a PlayStation mess up. It has nothing to do with them. They didn't say anything. Other people are making it up. So what that got to do with PlayStation and Sony? They didn't say anything. It's other people talking. Like, they didn't make up anything, right? So rumors ain't really tied to the platform, right? objectively speaking, if you want to complain about stuff, then there's got to be objective measure. Like, for example, they didn't launch with VR, right? Or auto low latency as part of the technology package when the console launched. Sure, you could say that. You could also argue that they still haven't updated the UI with folders, which is something they've been doing since the PS3. That's a legit, complaint and stuff like that. But those things, don't carry the same weight as the basic fundamental of buying a console and the console have great games. And that you own the console and it's 3 years later, and 3 years into the gen, you're having a discussion on whether the company is able to provide great games. Like, you shouldn't have that discussion. That should not be a discussion. 2023, no one should be talking about Xbox quality. That should already been resolved, right? Because we've been talking about Xbox quality, like the community, since last gen. Like, I can show videos, podcasts 5 to 6 years ago, and if people look at it now, I can literally take videos that I've done 5, 6 years ago, re-upload it, just change the title, and people will swear that I'm talking about this gen. And the reason why I did that, because if you look at my podcast yesterday, I just showed a flashback of what next gen, I just wanted to show everybody like a quick flashback. Some people thought that was a current video. I'm like, no, this video is 5 years old.
Yeah, no, I did. I thought it was a current one, and I was like, man, why are they talking again? Shut up. Like,
no, that video is 5 years old, but yet people thought that, Z created some stuff recently. Like, no, this is him 5 years ago, and that should tell you something. You understand what I'm saying? So like, people hold PlayStation accountable, but they're just not screwing up that big. Like Forspoken, the Square Enix, the game didn't hit so well, right? But again, it's not like it was 3 years of games that didn't hit well. Some of the best games this gen is because of the PlayStation. Some of the games this gen that actually showed what the consoles are supposed to do is because of PlayStation. If it wasn't for PlayStation 5, most people still probably wouldn't have wondered what the hell technology are we talking about. Sony, again, we'll use VR as an example. Sony was last to VR. Xbox had it first. But it wasn't until Sony, when they finally got it, can really show what VR at 120 hertz can do, because they updated the games, right? Unlock frame rates. You could play Spider-Man as long as you have VR and you enable 120 hertz. You can play that game unlocked in quality mode. And tests has been done that game runs at around 60 frames with ray tracing, all the bells and whistles. Microsoft has still yet to accomplish that on their platform. Like, you don't see Forza Horizon 5 getting updated to quality mode at native 4K 45 frames like they did with Ratchet and Clank, God of War. Xbox still hasn't done that. You see what I'm saying?
They're not going to do that.
And I don't think they are. I don't think they even care. I don't think they even care. I think they even gave up on trying to prove that the Xbox Series X is the eats monsters for breakfast or whatever corny ass slogan they had.
No, they switched their advertising from the world's most powerful console to back to the world's most powerful Xbox. And
even then, I don't think they even say that anymore.
No.
They don't even like say anything superlative to the console.
Game Pass.
Play it on Game Pass. They don't even say what to play Game Pass on anymore. So like the console's really just done. It's like it's not even worth hyping, And if they do hype any console, it's the Xbox Series S, because they probably have some deal and you can like get it for $199 to play Game Pass, So it's just so it's two parts, right? The first part is you're gonna hear like the Xbox guys or the PlayStation haters try to blow up like any little ridiculous thing into the biggest issue. But again, they're trying to create an environment where it seems like Sony and Xbox are both having the same issues, and they're not. You're not going to compare the Kansas City Chiefs with the Jets. That's just not going to happen. Not going to happen.
But the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, man.
Even if the Kansas City Chiefs starts out 0-4, they cannot be compared to the Jets. Not ever. Ever. It's just not how it is. No Jets fan gets to talk trash on the Chiefs. You don't get to do that. It's just you're just not on that level, and that's how I see it.
I love that the team you mentioned as the one that you can't talk about is absolutely green and white.
Yeah.
So, so what you just brought up some pretty interesting. We're part of it, I think, is that they don't give us enough time to talk about it, right? There's always something else, right? Like, so I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I'll throw that on the table. And man, we, we do some stupid stuff to shoot our own team in the foot. It's so bad. Like, we need a running back and a wide receiver and an offensive lineman like nobody's business. And in the draft, instead of doing that, they draft defense, which was number 3 in the league last year. So, like, why are we. It's the same thing when you talk about Xbox and PlayStation. Why are we not just reloading like PlayStation? And, okay, so, we're closing Pixel Opus, but in like 3 days after that, 4 days after that, we're going to release a lineup for PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium that is bar none the best month they've had since they launched. And so now everyone's like, "Oh my God, we're getting banger after banger." Like, listen to this real quick. They are giving us all 3 Tomb Raiders, Dishonored 1, Dishonored 2, Humanity, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. What else? Evil Within 2, Thymesia, which is for your Souls fans. I don't like games that can kick my own ass. And then you got Soundfall, and then you're getting Siphon Filter, Logan's Shadow, which is I've heard is a great game. I'm not a big fan of stealth games. You're getting the Ghostbusters video game, which is a fun little multiplayer. You're getting Pursuit Force. Like, they're giving us all of these titles. And so now people are talking about that. It seems like every single time we get any kind of bad news from Sony, or about Sony, or even rumors, like, dear God, how many folks have tried to fabricate crap towards Sony? The liquid metal, the overheating controller, the fans smoking. Like, there's been so many things that people have tried to say about the darn PlayStation, but right after we're like, yeah, we got Horizon. Yeah, we're getting God of War. Yeah, we got Returnal. Oh, they just bought Housemarque. Oh, like, there's always something that comes that's a positive. It's not like with the Cowboys that now I'm going to have to sit and think, well, crap, we're going to suck for the next 2 years because they didn't make any good decisions, so they didn't plan ahead. RP, what's your thoughts on this, man? Is PlayStation just the golden child that can do no wrong, or is it just because as they've built up goodwill among the gamers?
No. So, yeah, PlayStation definitely can do wrong, and we've seen that back in the PS3 era. When they came off the hype of the PS2, they thought their stuff didn't stink, and then they found out real quick it stunk, and 360 laid the smackdown on them. And during that era, and I actually owned a PS3 at the end of that console. I didn't own 360. The 360 had the games, but that Red Ring of Death scared the hell out of me. So there is the ability for Sony to screw up, and there's still ability for Sony to screw up in this generation. Will they? I have my doubts. I mean, they know what they can do and what they can get away with this generation. So I don't see them making the wrong moves. They're going to have a couple trip ups with these games as a service games. They're going to have probably, out of the 12 games they got in process, they're probably going to have 6, guaranteed 6 probably good duds in that. And it sucks, that's marketing, but that's what you're going to have.
Yeah. No, I mean, my thing is that they just, I think they have so much goodwill that one of their most recent games, let's take Spider-Man, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man could come out and need a patch within the first week because there's this a game-breaking bug when you're swinging through wherever the hell they're going to put us, and you have this. They could have that problem where it launches with just a bug or 2 or 5 or 10, right? And I still think that PlayStation fans would give them a pass. You know, they'd be like, well, you know, it's the first time it's happened. God of War launched great. And I don't include PC launches, so anybody in chat who's going to bring up PC can just miss me with that whole conversation. I don't do PC. I don't care about PC. And so,
But
like,
Sony focuses on the PlayStation, not the PC first.
I'll be damned. It's
Huh.
by the way, my kids are in bed now and they are finally asleep, so I don't have to worry about my oldest hopping onto YouTube and trying to watch the stream with me. So we are good to go now. We can kind of cut loose a little bit,
Okay.
and
Okay.
P Rock, you are free to say whatever you want, my guy.
Xbox is dog shit. No, I'm playing.
Filter
All
is
right.
off.
Filter is off. That's just kind of what I wanted to say. And then, okay, so let's get into this. We're still going to talk about rumors here. PlayStation's partnership with Konami, right? So I have one of three, or I have a couple things that I want from this, and then I want to get RP. I want to get your thoughts, and then P Rock, obviously yours. So here's my thing. They could actually have Blue Point working on all three of these things at the exact same time. And here's how I'm getting this in my head. So Castlevania, the last ones that were live action, or not live action, that's wow, it's late. The last ones that were out were, you know, action adventure style over the shoulder type games. I think that they'd be smart to make it more of an indie project, kind of like Fist, where it's more of your Metroidvania style, where it goes back to that. Maybe take a page out of Square Enix's book, do some HD 2D, make it to where it looks like a retro title that you can sell for 35, 40 bucks. Okay? That's my thought on that. And then they've been working, supposedly, I think, heck, I saw Salty, I saw Thrash, I saw some other guys posting about it. I think you talked about it last night, P Rock. They've been working on MGS in some form or fashion, at least hinting at it since 2019. So, I mean, we have the idea that they're going to be doing that. And then then you have Silent Hill, which has already been confirmed that that's going to
Yeah,
be a
Bloober.
remake by Blooper.
Yep.
And so, like, they have a way for all of these games to come out and all of these games to be ready to be announced, which would I never used to like Metroidvanias, and I played Fist, and I'm absolutely sold on them. If y'all ain't played Fist yet, y'all need to. It is made by China Hero Project, so I know that some of it goes to support the CCP, and I'm not about that. But it's a phenomenal freaking game. It is so fun. So with this Konami rumor, though, do we think that Sony is? Do we think that it's true for one, and then do you think that this just is their strategy to edge out? Like, do you think edging out Xbox is their hope with this, or do they have another goal? And RP, I'll turn it over to you.
But there's the thing is like they have a good enough relationship with Konami, with Capcom, with Square that they don't have to pull out their wallets and they got to go and try to buy them straight out. They have those good relationships. With Konami, yeah, they got the relationship with Konami right now. Oh, let me see here. Yeah, Konami. They have the relationship right now. I do see a Castlevania remake coming. I'm thinking it's probably going to be more in the double A field on that one. Um, let's see what else we got here. Trying to think of the other ones you had mentioned. If you don't mind reminding me.
Sorry, Castlevania, Silent Hill, and MGS.
So yeah, definitely Metal Gear Solid 3. I do see coming. The Castlevania, like I said, I see that one coming, and um, yeah, I don't see any issues. But let's not count our chickens until they're hatched. You know, let's not put all of our eggs in one basket. It's all rumor land right now, and we're going to see probably in less than about 3 weeks.
You think so?
I really do. I think we're going to see something come May 25th, June 1st. That's the rumor. That's what's going around. I really think that they're going to come out first and they're just going to lay the smackdown. And it's going to leave Xbox and Jeff Keighley just fumbling their hands trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do.
All right. Well, P-Rock, what's your stance on this, man? What do you think about the Konami deal? Do you think it's all smoke and mirrors? Do you think it's true? And do you think they're doing it just to keep the games away from Xbox?
Well, so I answer with the rumor. So this rumor started even before the gen started, and it was specifically those 3 games. But it was a bit more general. It was some type of Metal Gear game, a Silent Hill game, and a Castlevania game potentially making this round. And I think Hip Hop Gamer was like the first to mention it, and he called flack for it. But he did mention it. This was like 2019, 2020, so this was a while. And that Sony's in talks to having those games coming back to PlayStation. We just didn't know in what shape or form, whether it was going to be, a new entry or remake or remaster. Like, he just didn't have that info. But he did specifically spell out that it was Silent Hill, Castlevania, Metal Gear. And there more and more people threw those rumors out there and heard some stuff, whatever. And then the first game to break out was Silent Hill 2, the remake. So then at that point, I'm like, wait a minute. Like 1 out of 3, like that's not bad. That's like there could be some credence, right? And then Blue Point, they came up with that weird poem, I think last year during Halloween. And like there's so many like little key words that you could, I mean, granted, you could combine so many words, you could combine, and this was before, no, not last year, this was 2019 Halloween, that they released this little riddle to tell people Happy Halloween, and from there people derive Demon Souls. Some people could say they could be talking about Twisted Metal or Metal Gear, Castlevania. There was so many key words and stuff like that. Silent Hill. It was just a lot of it and stuff like that. But I think genuinely it kind of makes sense that from a strategic point, at a minimum, releasing a new Metal Gear, I think that's legit, only because if there is no Metal Gear this gen, think about it. This would be the first PlayStation home console that doesn't have a Metal Gear game. And that game has always been one of the top games for the platform. Whether it's PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4. One shape or form, that game has always been on PlayStation. Granted, Metal Gear Solid 5 was multiplayer, but it was still on PlayStation, right? So I can't see Sony letting the PS5 gen go without some type of Metal Gear game. Even the PSP had the Metal Gear game. You know what I mean? And Vita. Like almost, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, every PlayStation product, other than VR, right, had Metal Gear, like, as a platform. So I sometimes sit back, I'm thinking, damn, is this going to be the first gen where I don't get to play a Metal Gear? I can see Sony seeing the need for that.
Good.
And then with Castlevania, like, let me just finish real quick.
Yeah,
with Netflix, right? Castlevania was pretty popular on Netflix. I could see Sony feeding on that and try to get the game out there and stuff, right? So between all that, I think it's very probable that these games are coming out because they'll be big. They're money makers, right? For your second question, I don't think it has anything to do with Xbox. In fact, I honestly, and if it wasn't for the Activision Blizzard, acquisitions nonsense, I don't think Sony even cares what Xbox is doing because they just so far removed. Like, I mean, you really have to do nothing. Xbox is killing themselves. So I don't think Sony's making these decisions with the thought of Xbox. I think they're just constantly trying to raise the bar on providing the best games and to get people to play on PlayStation. I think the whole, Sony looking at Xbox, I think that thing's so far removed that they're like, whatever. If it wasn't for the acquisition of ABK, I don't think Sony would be even concerned about what Microsoft is doing in Xbox. They're just so far removed. So I don't think any of these moves, like getting Wolverine, these marketing deals, I think they just understand what it takes to make a console successful, and they're all in. I think that's just it. I just think they're just driven on quality and providing the best content for PlayStation. And I think that's what drives them. And I think it just granted, it results in them kicking Xbox ass, but I don't think that's the goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a consequence. It's just a natural result of the decision of trying to create or get the best content possible for the PlayStation console.
I just love it because it is like the Old Testament story of David versus Goliath. I mean, you got a billion, or was it $1 billion company versus a $1 trillion company, and they're just out here just hitting home runs left and right. Couple grounders every once in a while, but for the most part, you're out of the park every single time.
Yeah, that's so. I don't know. I'm kind of. Part of me wants to think that Jim Ryan is as petty as I am, but P Rock's probably right that they don't give a rat's rip what Xbox is doing right now, except to make sure that they don't take Diablo and Call of Duty off. I think that's the only thing that they've really given a rat's rip about. But like, there has to be a point where these hold the line people, right? These people who get on and make these grandstanding speeches. Sony's never needed any of us to come out and rally the troops, so to speak. We've never had to hold the line, that toilet line, that holding up the bathroom. Like, we've never had to do that. And you have these guys out here now saying, hold the line. Sony's doing all this. They're making all these exclusives. They're taking games away from us. They're doing this. They're doing that. Listen, I want to let you know that Microsoft has trillions of dollars every year that come in and go out. They come in and go out. They are able to have an operating budget of $70 billion just to have, like, an acquisition. That's ridiculous. And, people have said that Sony's just telling them to skip the Xbox because, well, the Xbox sucks and we have all the players and all that. You don't think Microsoft could come out? Let's take Hogwarts, right? Hogwarts made $1 billion, okay? Hogwarts has made $1 billion. And you don't think Microsoft could go to Konami? You don't think Microsoft could go to Capcom or Square Enix and say, hey guys, listen, we know that they account for 70% of your sales, so we're going to go ahead and give you $600 million to put this game on our console exclusive to Game Pass for a year. Then you can also double dip and you'll get your sales later from PlayStation. Like, why does Xbox not take the time and take the resources to do these deals? Or are these companies literally saying, listen, we don't give a rat's ass about your money? Like, are they, like, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Because it baffles me that a company, and RP, you kind of got me onto this because of what you said. You have a $1 trillion company getting beat by $1 billion company, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's insane. The gap between operating income and acquisition income and just day-to-day operation cost is staggering when you put Microsoft against Sony. And it makes no sense to me, and it is the worst form of, I guess, blame shift that I've ever seen when people are like, well, I can't believe Sony's doing this. I can't believe Microsoft hasn't opened a checkbook. Like, you have the freaking money. Do something about it. Stop being do something about it. Sorry. Like, it's insane to me, and I don't understand. So maybe y'all can help me. What's going on? P Rock, we'll start with you this time. What is hindering Microsoft from doing these kind of deals?
Simple. They're not serious about gaming. They're just trying to find easy answers. They're not putting in the effort that's needed. Their number one focus isn't making great games. They're just trying to make quick money. It's a company that looks at gaming no different than the way they look at Microsoft Office. It's just data. ones and zeros, put it together, put it on the market, and and then just try to spread it out and take over simply by attrition, kind of like Windows, and not by the merit of quality. The only problem is gaming is an art, and Microsoft don't understand that. And they never have, and they never will. So you're not simply just gonna have a great product just by quantity and availability. You're gonna have to show quality, extreme quality. You're gonna have to associate the name of the brand with, especially first party is held to a higher standard than third party. So when people think of a first party platform provider, the first thing they think of this should be the company providing some of the best games and setting the example and push the industry forward, providing the best games out there. Microsoft's not about that. The only thing you're hearing them is talk about
They used to be.
just access games. Yeah, but that was under Peter Moore. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So he had that mindset. And guess what? He came from Sega. And Peter Moore understood, Sega understood quality and tried to push out the best games. Now, granted, they made some bad business decisions and products and all that, which was part of the downfall. But he understood quality. He understood getting the best games. He understood pushing out the best content. He understood, hey, I need to get Gears of War, and this cannot go to PlayStation. He understood that. The guys that are in Xbox now, they don't understand that. And Microsoft definitely doesn't understand that. And they're definitely, like for example, like Microsoft right now, right? Microsoft as a company has a policy that all contract work, they can only work for 18 months. And because if they work for more than 18 months, then by law, they have to have benefits and all this stuff. So, God forbid a $2 trillion company actually pays his employees good benefits, right? We don't, God forbid that happens, right? But so think about that. Think about that corporate policy, right? And that policy might be fine if you're talking Azure, SQL, just crunching numbers and stuff like that, right? For data programming, all that stuff. But when you talk about gaming is an art, right? And when you start a project, it's usually a 5-year, 6-year project, and you need your team to understand the beginning, the middle, the end until completion. But if you keep rotating your contract workers, like normally, like Sony, they'll hire contract workers, but they're there for 5 years. They'll contract them for the start of the project, and they're there to the end. Now, whether Sony keeps them after the project is a different story, but they're there for the whole shebang, right? Microsoft's not like that. So imagine you start a project and you got contract workers, but in 18 months, they're gone. 18 months into the project, they're gone. And now you hire a whole new group. And they're only there for 18 months. So now they got to learn what the previous did, and then you got to rope them in to understand where the direction is going, but they're only going to be there for 18 months. And what if the new crew you hire aren't as good as the previous crew? And now 18 months later, so now it's 3 years, they're gone. So now you're on your third rotation 3 years in, right? And they're going to take the game to 4.5 years out. So the next crew can't even take the game to completion, which is 5 years. And then what happens if the game has issues and bugs and they can't get 30 frames? Well, guess what? That crew has to go, and now you get a whole new crew number 4. So how you expect to make great games out of this? Well, guess what? Microsoft doesn't care. Like, hey, this is the policy. Figure it out. Microsoft don't even have the decency to say, hey, we understand gaming is an art. We understand that you need the crew to be there from beginning to end. So Xbox, you guys are exempt from the policy of 18-month rotation. We're going to make the best decision possible so you guys can make the best games, but they don't do that. The simple answer is Microsoft is not a true gaming company. I don't think they ever work. They don't really care. To them, it's just ones and zeros. That's it. And just like anything else they do, they'll release it, and if there's bugs, whatever, you could just patch it. Because again, they don't look at it as art. They don't look at it as something that you want to have an impact of good first impression. It's whatever. I mean, think about it. The company that supposedly released the world's most powerful console, or even the world's most powerful Xbox, they released a damn game that can't even do 60 frames performance mode. Like they don't even have respect for their own console. The world's most powerful Xbox, yet we're gonna launch a game that can't even do 60.
Shit's dog water, man. This shit's terrible.
On a first-person shooter at that. It's an FPS game. I can understand maybe if it was a role-playing game or something, or third-person game, but this is a
It's
first-person
not even
shooter.
a graphically demanding game.
It's not. It looks
No.
like shit.
It looks
You're
like
gonna tell me
absolute
Burning Shores
turds.
can run at 60, but Redfall can't?
Well, it's because they have to
It-
contest for the series potato. Like, they really do. And everybody who tries to, defend the Series S, oh, it's a great console, it's a great budget, it's a great blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. If you applied this logic to the car world, you would not be making cars for long. Like, if every Hyundai Genesis had to be brought down to the same level as a Hyundai Elantra, like, you'd be screwed. You'd be laughed out of the industry. And that's why I asked the question originally, because I feel like with these deals, actually, you know what? I'm not going to talk right now. RP, you go ahead. What's your thought on these deals? Why doesn't Xbox just open their wallet? Surely to God, they have the money. Like, so why do they not just open their wallet?
It's poor management. It's really just what it comes down to, and I hate to say that, but we've seen that. I mean, we've seen the Xbox with Don Matrick back in the day, and the monkey wrench that he threw in there. But it's just poor management. It's guy that has no business being in the position that he's in, and he's starting to come to realize. We've seen that in the interview that his hands are tied. I mean, his hands are tied from Microsoft. He's not allowed to do or drive the Xbox console to where he wants it. He's got to answer to Microsoft.
He's got to answer to Stutter and Sati is what he has to answer to.
Yeah, Stutter and Sati. He's got to answer to the shareholders, all this other stuff. He's not like Jim Ryan. He's not like Herman Holtz, where the PlayStation brand is the biggest part of Sony. The Xbox brand is a small little sliver in the Microsoft brand. So when Big Daddy Microsoft says something, hey, we want you to jump this high, yeah, you're going to have to jump this high. This mismanagement as far as quality, Arcane comes out and they say, oh yeah, it's good to go, but the higher ups in the Xbox don't look it over. They don't check out the bugs. They don't check out how it runs. They don't do their quality control in their second mock reviews, and they just ship that out the door. That's a massive problem. That's got their name all over it. They sent that out there onto the dealership floor. Have fun with that, because that's going to bury you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It has to be poor management. Do we think it's Phil? Or do we think it's the people above him? Because I'll be honest, and this is something that I said when I kind of covered the interview. That sounded more like hey guys, my hands are 100% tied. I can't do nothing about this. If it was up to me, we would have all these great games. Like, it sounded very much like he was taking the blame and not taking the blame all at the same time. Like, somebody pointed out, and I can't remember who it was, that it almost sounded like he was interviewing. Like, hey, if I want to do all these things, but this is what's delivering. And
oh yeah, he was definitely throwing out his resume out there.
Right? It felt like that. But I have it's hard to believe that they're that stupid. Like, it's hard to believe that they're that dumb to sit and go, you know what? Screw ABK. I know that helps us in the future, but right now we're not going to have a future if we don't get our console player back on board. If people don't stop going and selling their PS5s, we're not going to have a console or a market to really shove Game Pass down, because I can guarantee you Sony's not going to let them put Game Pass anywhere near a PlayStation. Like, that's not happening. And right now the Switch can't do cloud very well because it just doesn't have the hardware for it. So unless they just say, hey, we're going to go full PC or go full publisher, they need to start getting out of their own way. Like, that, does that make sense? Like, am I reaching too far? Like, am I asking too much? Am I like I don't feel like asking a company to spend 600, 700 million dollars to make exclusive deals when they're trying to spend 70 billion to buy a publisher. I don't think that sounds too much. That doesn't. It sounds like smart business to me, but it's it's. You ever had a friend that you try to give advice to, and the friend doesn't take your advice, and then you have to watch that friend go through a ton of shit before they finally come back and go, you know what, man, listen, I ruined a lot of stuff. You were right. If I would have done this, like, I would have been so much better. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm watching a train wreck in real time, and it's like Final Destination style, where the train is just like coming and coming, and it keeps going and going, and like it takes 10 minutes for the train to finally make impact. And man, I think that they are to that point. Like, if Starfield comes out broken, um, Lord help. We will see people not selling their Xboxes. We will see videos of folks throwing them out balcony windows. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath.
So
So,
I was at the GameStop a couple days ago picking up my HD camera for my PlayStation. I asked the dude that was behind the counter at GameStop. I was like, so just out of curiosity, like how many Series X or S's have you taken into the store today? And this was like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, dude, I've taken in like 12. I've taken in like 2 Series S's and 10 the Series X. He's like, they're just coming in here like floodgates after that interview that Phil dropped.
yeah, I mean, I had a similar situation when Redfall came out, or sorry, when Redfall got announced as 30. I have a GameStop in my town, and I have two local mom and pop stores in my town. And the I even posted it to Twitter. One of those places had like 6 Series S's and 2 Series X's, and they were like, "Yeah, all this crap came in this week. Like, we have nowhere to put it." And they said we're to the point now on Series S's. They were like, if we get any more in, we have to drop what we're giving for them because they're not selling. Like, we've called everybody on our wait list and nobody wants it. And I'm like, holy crap! How? Why? It's a budget console. Look how. Oh my God! Did y'all
No, it's a
see?
Game Pass console.
It's
That's what it is. It's a Game Pass console.
it
There
gives you
is
value. It gives you value like toilet paper. It's insane.
here, pay, 199 to 250. I think was the holiday deal. But can you go to the store and can you buy a disc and put it in there? No, you can't. The same thing with the PlayStation 5 digital edition was $400, but you don't have that different SKU. You when you buy a Series S, you're buying a Game Pass box. The only reason I have the Series X and I have the Series S, my son has a Series S, but he game shares off of me. So whatever I buy on the Xbox, he has on the Series S. But neither one of us have Game Pass. So whatever games I own on the X, he has on the S.
Does he like it? Like, do you feel like it's worth it?
He loves his Series S. Don't get me wrong. He's new to the ecosystem. So Game Pass for him would be well worth it because he's never played, any of the Gears or the Halos. He's completely new. And that's the big thing with the Game Pass or the PlayStation Plus or Extra or whatever it is. That's where you're good. When you first come into that ecosystem, it's a godsend. But for people like me, for people like you, Puertorock, we've been in this ecosystem for years, 10, 15, 20 years. The games that are in these services, when it comes to PlayStation, we've already bought. And then, I mean, we're seeing right now, in real time, the day and date games that are coming into Xbox Game Pass, whether it be, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or a PC, we're seeing things like Redfall, that's day and date, poor quality. And that's because that you're taking a $70 or what you're wanting $70 for a game, but you're giving us a $3 game because that's really that to me that's what it is. It's a $3 game. It's not worth $70. I've not played it, but I've seen enough people play it, and I've seen the Metacritic. I have no intentions of ever downloading this game to my console.
So it's, talking about Game Pass, and let me respond to somebody in the chat because Captain Play is here, and he said Xbox cut a deal with Verizon Home Internet. Get a Series S if you sign up for their top tier home internet. Like
Dude, I heard Verizon was throwing them things to anybody who came in their store.
dude, my store here. So my wife and I, we have T-Mobile, right? And we were thinking about switching because we've paid off our phones and got out of that little booster contract or whatever the hell it is. And we got out of that and we went over there and they were like, hey, if you get the iPhone, I think it was 13 or I think it was the 13 at this time. If you get two iPhone 13s, we'll give you two Series S's. You can have one in two rooms in your house. And I was like, what? They're like, they're like, yeah, we ran a special and now we have a lot of them left. And I was like, holy shit. Okay. No. I just left. I was like, I don't even want them to like sneak drop me one and like drop ship it without me knowing. Like, well, it was part of the deal, so you have to take it. Like, but
They're tired of their crew building igloos in the back room.
Bro, so let me ask this. P-Rock, do you think that they're going to go full publisher? Like, that's the only option I see for them.
No, so it's not really for like make games on PlayStation.
Yeah, like they go ahead and they sign some sort of agreement that says, hey, we're not going to come out with a console for 10 more years. Everybody likes to throw out that 10 number, especially Microsoft. So, like, we're just going to go straight publishing after this generation. No more Xbox consoles for 10 more years. Buy all of our games.
I think what their ultimate goal is to just drive off of Game Pass and just be able to provide Game Pass off of any device possible. Do I think they're eventually going to try to get away from consoles? Yes. Because that's a money sink for them. They even testified during the Epic Games trial that they always lose money on consoles and that at no point they have been able to get consoles to be so profitable, which blows my mind given how Nintendo and Sony are able to do it, but for whatever reason Microsoft's unable to do it. So they just see that as a consistent loss every gen. No matter, even when they're successful, they lose money with every console sold. So eventually, and Microsoft's a software company. They're not in the business of hardware, but they understand gaming. That's how you have to start with. But I think they want to transition the mindset of gamers to look at Xbox not as someone who provides you hardware. They just provide you a service. It's like Microsoft Office. When you think of Microsoft and Windows, you don't think of from their perspective the actual PC or laptop. Windows just the software. Somebody else will provide you the laptop or the PC, or the tablet, whatever. They're just making sure you got the software from them. When they say, hey, subscribe to Office 365, they're not providing you the hardware. You get the hardware wherever you want, but then you come subscribe to them, and they'll make money based off. So somebody else will pick up the challenge of the hardware, right? So I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to change the culture of people looking at them as a hardware first party company. They want gamers to look at them as just a service provider where you can play games and you just pick whatever device. And if they're successful at that, that's when they're gonna cut the console. That's when they can say, hey, we're not releasing a console no more, because now people are just looking at them as, it doesn't matter, I'll just play Xbox on my TV or whatever. And I think that's what they're trying to accomplish, but what they don't realize, again, is that's just not how it works in gaming. Gamers want, their console, and they want the company who made the console to make the best games. And if you can't do that, then why the hell would they care about playing your brand anywhere else? If you can't make your console successful, well, how successful are you gonna be on the phone, on a TV? Like this is one of the, it just doesn't make sense. Like who are you gonna convince to play Xbox on a TV when you're not known to be the brand? Where man, I gotta play an Xbox. Like you're not that brand. So I don't know what they got going on. I think the whole being just a regular third-party publisher, I think that's like a last resort. I think if they realize, yeah, we're just never gonna be that first-party platform brand, regardless of what method they try to do it. I think if they realize, yeah, we're just gonna be third-party, like Activision, EA, and then just go from there. I think that's like a last resort decision.
All right. Well, I think I want them to go publisher. I don't. But then again, they haven't proved that they can make a good game yet. So like, and if I hear one more person say that Forza is a great game in response to they can't make a complete game, I might scream at the top of my lungs because that crap annoys me. Just because you have one studio that actually can do their job properly doesn't mean the other 23 that you have are doing anything that's worth a damn right now. We haven't seen shit from any of them, right? We haven't seen anything. All we've heard of is Starfield, and now Starfield has been put up on the freaking Mount Rushmore of video games before it's even out. If that thing isn't a 27 out of 10, it's going to be a bloodbath. I said that earlier in the show, and man, they have set Starfield up to be a failure before they've even started. Like, because of the fact that if it doesn't come out at a lock 60, and I'm not even saying if it doesn't come out at 60, that son of a gun better run locked on the Series X. Like, there is no reason. Right now I'm just kind of walking around and moseying around in Horizon Forbidden West, and I'm playing this Joker at 40 frames per second in 4K. Like, my TV gives me that and lets me know, like, what I'm playing in. And so, I can't sit and say that Xbox is going to be able to do that, or that Bethesda's going to be able to do that. Like, and then it comes out that Bethesda's going to be putting microtransactions in it. Or, so let me rephrase that, it has the ability for in-app purchases, which is the creative store, but it's not going to have... Shut the fuck up. You're taking my money. You are trying to get me to spend my money in your game, right? You're trying to get me to pay you $70 or to download it on Game Pass and then go, well, because I got it on Game Pass, I can go ahead and give you some money. Shut up. Like, don't tell me that you're for the players when you release Redfall. Now you're going to be releasing Starfield, and you're going to be putting stupid crap in there to make people spend money on extra stuff to make your game more fun. Like, the creative thing, which I think it's a cool idea, don't get me wrong, but I shouldn't need mods to have access to my game code and to be able to do these things to make your game more enjoyable, right? Like, I don't need somebody to come in and give me a mod for Aloy or for Horizon Forbidden West to run at 60 frames per second, or to, give them all, like, bigger heads, or I don't know what freaking modders do. But, like, that shouldn't be a hook in your game. You should be able to release a good game and just let it be that. But let me ask y'all, do y'all think that Starfield's getting an unfair shake? Like, do y'all feel bad for Bethesda? Do you feel bad for what's going on and the fact that now everybody is looking to Starfield as the savior of Xbox? Like, I feel terrible for him, but let me get y'all's thoughts. RP, what do you think on that?
Well, as a Fallout fan, as a Skyrim fan, as far as with the Bethesda titles, I was really looking forward to Starfield. The thought of doing a Skyrim Fallout in space really intrigued me. With the rumors and everything that was coming out before they actually announced it. What I seen from Todd Howard when he dropped that gameplay trailer, I was not impressed. the everything that was going on the screen as far as like the missions or the environment, that looked fine to me. But the entire time I was watching that, all I seen was stuttering. But with Redfall came out and it dropped, and the frame, the 30 FPS versus 60 FPS was hitting hard for the first week and a half before that game actually dropped. But to me, looking back now after that game dropped, it's the bugs. The bugs are the big problem in that game.
Hey, RP, let me interrupt you just real quick.
Yeah.
Puertorock, you just let me know that you have to go, that you got to bounce out.
Okay.
Let folks know where they can find you, man.
All right, hey, this is your boy. Hey, I apologize. Something came up, so I got to dip. But hey, man, great podcast. Thank you so much for the invite. This is your boy Puertorock 77. You only friend these YouTube streets. You can catch me on YouTube, Puertorock 77. Just look it up. CC Frames No Like podcast. Got to get you on at some point. You know what I'm saying? So we could chop it up, on the show. And you can also catch me on Twitter, Puertorock77 _. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, hey, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this podcast, man. Great show, great topics. You know what I'm saying? I'll catch you another time, brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by, man. And y'all definitely go check his stuff out. Like, his stuff is very, very good. It's very raw. Like, you're going to get laughs. You're going to have a blast in it. And he also brings facts, too. Like, he's not just here. He's not doing shock jock or stuff like that just for the hell of it. Like, he actually gives you facts. And the guys who he has on his panel, they are great. So, man, I appreciate you stopping by if you're still here. Thanks again, and definitely go follow him on YouTube. In the description after this, I will get all of his stuff put in there. That way, y'all can just click on that link, and these videos typically get some decent traction afterwards. So I say decent for my channel. They get some decent traction, and yeah, man. Hopefully we can make that happen. I'd love to be on your show. Jay Barry cracks me up every time I hear him. So RP, what you got, man? Like, sorry to interrupt you. What are you thinking? Like, go ahead.
Oh man, I completely lost my train of thought.
Fair enough. So
yeah, we can jump to the next subject. I mean, because anything that I have to say tonight, whether before or after the fact, anything that I have to say has been said by multiple people, whether it be Jez or Salty or Mooch or even you or Doom. It doesn't even matter. Everything that I've said, I have shared opinions with everybody else.
Okay. So here's my thing. I have mentioned it before. I love puffing out my chest. My console's the best. Woohoo. I have the best plastic box ever. My company actually gives a shit. My company actually likes us. Your company treats you like dog water. What is Starfield? Oh, this is what it was.
Yeah.
Is Starfield the game that's going to break the camel's back? Like, and be honest. Like, here's my thing. I'm not just saying this because, we need to talk about Starfield because it's a gaming news show and that's the only thing Xbox has going for it. I am genuinely concerned that Starfield's going to come out and all these. So Puertorock, his brother is Doc Dark. Like, I love fire safety matches. Doc Dark. I love his content. Even the other video he did the other day about holding the line. I thought that whole video was the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. But I like him, so I gave it a view. I watched the whole thing, and I gave it a like. Right? What's up, Nick? And so it was just, if I like you, I'm going to mess with your channel. I'm going to mess with your content, even if sometimes you say some things I don't necessarily like. But, like, Xbox has been doing shit that nobody likes. Like, and then you have these delusional people coming out and, like, man, I'm telling you, it's at a breaking point. Like, hold the line, right? That was trending the other day. Hold the freaking line. And, I watch Jez's podcast. Jez, Puertorock, Salty, and, Reforged. Those are the guys that I typically watch all the time. And heck, I'm on Salty's panel. I'm a member on his panel now, and like those guys, all of them have a bit of a different delivery, but like you said, we're all saying the same shit. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We just use common sense, and we're like, hey, this is what it is. Like, I wish for the life of me that Wooly didn't live over in the UK, because I would love to get that dude on in a one-on-one setting, because that guy has a ton of just knowledge. He doesn't forget anything.
No,
And
no, no, he doesn't.
it's insane when he starts going in on stuff. And I'm like, I'm just sitting back. They kind of made fun of me for it on like my third appearance on the Saltiest Gaming pod. They were like, so you're just going to agree with Wooly? Like, well, shut the fuck up. He's smart. Like, everything he just said was great. Like, I got nothing to add to it.
We got people like Wooly. We got people like David, Falke. We got people, like Lono. These guys are fucking brilliant. I mean, there is no BS with them. They're not, especially with like Lono. He's not going to be out here throwing the green flag or the blue flag. He's just out here calling a spade a spade. So that's how I see it. As far as like, the red versus blue, I don't really care about that. But you cannot deny that the blue is doing a hell of a lot better than the green.
Sure. So you mentioned red again. Let's do this. We will not mention them by name, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because from what I've heard, like there's even a dude who does like reviews of their games, and he has to come out and say, "Hey, I'm not this channel. I am not a blank channel," right?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Holy crap! Like,
I see his content all the time. I watch every video.
I'm like, dude, I watch his stuff to get reviews for like some of the smaller titles that come to it, to see if I want to get my son that title for his thing. And like, he has to come out and go, "Listen, I'm not this," and I'm like, okay, all right. And then I hear from other creators, like even Lono sat there and was like, today he goes, "Yeah, I don't mess with them because I'm terrified of them." But listen to this.
Oh, they're so trigger happy.
Oh my gosh.
So trigger happy.
So listen to this, because I thought this was very interesting. And I want to, this is where we're going to end, and then I want to ask you about gaming, about just some general gaming, topic.
Yeah.
But I think that there was an article where, here, I can look it up on my phone without them getting upset at me. Blank blank loses money. Okay, here we go. So they have come out and they have like been in decline now for quite some time on their, sales of consoles, right? They have been in decline for quite some time. And all of their projections, though, accounted for that. If you read the articles, all of their projections were like within 0.3 million of how much revenue they were going to bring in. So they have obviously planned for this. So you have one company in the Xbox team that has this crap. They're in last place because, third place in a three person race is fucking last. It just is. You're not in third, you're in last. And then you have a juggernaut who is bleeding money right now, not really bringing in a ton of revenue. I don't want to say they're bleeding money, but they're not bringing in a ton of revenue. They're not doing the gangbuster numbers like they used to. And nobody is saying that the red team is about to collapse. Nobody is saying that the red team... They release games that are more broken than Redfall. Like the little Pocket Monster game that they released last year, not the open world RPG one, but the other one that they released, was a broken mess that ran at like 23 frames a second. Like, it was awful.
You mean Rise?
No. I am no. It's the Pocket Monster game. You know, the one that's very popular, has a kids show with it.
I think so, yes.
Okay, okay. Um, the main monster in it is a somebody in chat help me. I don't want to say it on the air.
Yeah.
But the main monster of the series does electric attacks.
Oh,
And
yes, 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 yes,
yeah, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, okay.
They
He's
released the
a
yes,
specific
there you go.
color of yellow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Church Keys just posted it in chat.
Yeah,
Like,
I seen it.
listen to this. They released those two titles and they were absolute garbage. I have a buddy of mine who plays every single one that came out, and he was so hyped because the open world RPG one that came out was actually extremely fun, and he loved it. It was really well done, and he has spent countless hours on that game. And then they released the other two, and they are absolute dog shit. They are so bad. And everybody bought them. And everybody played it. And they still didn't patch the damn thing. And now they're selling consoles at a lower rate than they've ever sold them before. They are breaking records in the opposite direction, right? But nobody is talking about how the red team is about to go bankrupt, or the red team is about to have a bad day, or the red team is about to do this. And even internally, the people at the red team are going, yeah, no, we're actually we're a little higher than what we had projected. We're doing great. Like
They're doing great in their field. I mean, honestly, they're not competing with blue and green. They're in their own space. They're completely happy and content in their own space. They make their games for a specific type of gamer. They make games for the type of gamer like my other half is. She likes a certain type of, how would I put it, a farming building
Oh, I got you.
simulator.
I got you.
Yeah, so you know where I'm at. I bought her a Switch for that specific game that dropped, what, about 2 or 3 years ago, and they got me to buy the L, and then the OG, and now the OLED. They got me to buy all three of these, but she loves it. She plays all these games, whether they be the first party or a third party. I did happen to talk her out of buying Hogwarts for that console because I told her, I was like, hey, if Disney Dreamlight is going to run like absolute garbage, how do you think Hogwarts is going to run on that? She's like, yeah, you have a good point. I was like, hey, you want to play Hogwarts? I got a $400 PS5 sitting right here. Play it on that.
Only 400 too. Like, Salty points that out all the time. He absolutely loves his freaking digital console. Me, I still hold out hope that I'm going to get back into buying a lot of his physical media, even though I know that that's probably a bunch of bullshit. Because
In much respect to that, I really like I really like people who keep up the disc. I really do. But with the PlayStation 4, I found myself buying, being lazy, I guess would be the easiest part of it. I'm too lazy to drive to Walmart or a GameStop and pick up a disc when I could sit there on my couch and I can buy it and download it before I can be to Walmart and back. But I get people that want to buy the games, but now you have games coming out that are nothing but CD keys. They're 85 megabytes, but you got to download 95 gigs off of the internet. So you're really shooting yourself in the foot there.
yeah, I mean, I'm very conflicted right now with the gaming market just in general because I absolutely loathe not actually owning my property. As a matter of fact, on the PS4, I had an external HDD that I would put all of my digital games on because I wanted to make sure that I had those downloaded and stored to something that couldn't be shut down, you know?
Yeah.
And so I did that just because I love having what's mine. And games now, man, there's some games if you can't connect to the internet, you can't play. Like Diablo 4 coming out. And it bothers me to no end. You know, Outriders was like that. You had to be online to play. And granted, I hate it, but I bought Outriders. I bought World Slayer. I have 500 hours in that stupid thing. And it's just irritating seeing where gaming is going. You have one company that doesn't seem to give a rat's ass about the games. They want to put everything on a booster box. They want to put everything into the cloud gaming. They want to put it all.
It's starting to sound like Satya out there.
I did that on purpose, but yeah, you're starting to sound like these idiots who are like, "Hey, we need to put, okay, get this shit. Xbox is trying to put shit on cloud, right? Streaming. You know what market and thing is about to have the biggest bubble burst that I think we've ever seen? Streaming. Because think about it. Netflix views are down. Disney Plus views are down. Hulu views are down. HBO Max
They're
views
all
are
going
down.
back to the theaters.
Right.
They're all going back.
Because people at the end of the day don't want to, if they really put pen to paper, which at least over here in America, I know I have some folks who watch me in Africa.
Overseas.
And overseas, yeah, I know I have folks overseas that watch me. And it's crazy to me because at least over here, man, the families are having to go to their dining room tables and work on their budgets and go, well, shit, we're paying $200 a month for HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, Netflix. Then you have Game Pass, and if they have a second console, and that's a PlayStation, then you have the PlayStation service. Damn, that's 9 services a month that I'm paying for. What can I cut? Like,
that's where the cut the cable ends up cutting you in the end.
Right. Like, it's the thing that I almost went back to cable TV because I was like, man, I have Netflix, I have Disney. That's 25 right there. HBO Max is another 15. Like, well, shit, I'm now at 40. Dude, I could get all these same shows, well, most of these same shows on regular TV. Why do I need... I'm going to spend $70 either way, right? Like, so I think they're focusing on a market that's about to go belly up well, not belly up. We've gotten too used to convenience, so we will keep them afloat, but you're not going to make as much money as you could now, right? And that was the big CMA argument, was that, like, listen, we know that it's a small space now, but gaming is going to be huge in cloud in other countries that have better infrastructure than we do. So
yeah, our infrastructure here in the U.S. is complete dog water.
I didn't
There's no
know
ifs,
that.
ands, or buts about it. It is junk. It is horrible. There is countries out there that make our internet infrastructure, even our electric internet infrastructure, our water, our transportation. We are so far down the list in being the supposed best country in the world, and we're not. But we are so far down the list, it's not even funny, to be one of the world's most superpowers. It is insane.
We still do have the best military. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
That's true.
You see where we spend our money. We're like children, to be quite honest. We spend our money on big things that go boom. Like,
oh, we have plenty of those. Plenty of those.
We spend our, dude. So we're like 30 minutes away from an air base, and man, it's there's our air base out here has a big, huge freaking tank parked out in front of one of its entrances. Like, we just like big shit that goes boom, but.
I'm not too far from the housing for the B-2 bombers, so yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually a military brat. I was born on base at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, and then we lived in California for a while at on Castle Air Force Base. But let's go. We're getting to the 2 hour mark, so let's go
Yeah.
ahead and let's talk about just gaming. This I call this section kind of like the palate cleanser. Like we've talked about all this bullshit. Xbox has now left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. The chat's in here screaming stuff at us. Church is sitting over here saying pause left and right.
I have
Oh,
not said
shit.
anything dirty the entire night.
That is not true. And anyway, listen, it doesn't take much for Church to come in here and find something dirty about what we're talking about.
I like Church. I see him in many comment sections.
Dude, Church is my dude. I really like you ever meet somebody that you just click with and you're like, "Yep, we're cool." Like that's
Oh yeah.
that was what happened with me on Salty's podcast. Which, by the way, guys, tomorrow night, Salty has a hell of a podcast lined up. We have Puertorock and Doc Dark coming on. So I think we're gonna pull out like boxing gloves and like Nerf guns, and we're just gonna watch just this whole brotherly rivalry just come on in. I can't wait. Big big boom stuff. Yes, I did say that. All right, so let's get into the gaming time, because this is a gaming news podcast. So if we didn't talk about our video games, and if we just made it about the news, that would be boring. It would be like my dad sitting there watching CNN. So let's get into some of this other stuff. What is your favorite franchise?
Favorite franchise? Definitely gonna have to be the God of War series.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I did not care for Ascension whatsoever. I played it. I did not beat it because I did not care for it. But the original God of War 1, 2, 3 with the Greek saga, I absolutely loved and adored. And now we're into the Norse, we're done with the Norse saga. Sorry, spoilers, anybody. We're done with the Norse saga.
I think they know.
Yeah, well, I would hope they would know. I mean, the stuff's been blasted out there left and right for the past, 3 or 4 years now. Well, last year for Ragnarok. But, yeah, I mean, the Ragnarok I absolutely loved. But I'm sorry, I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself.
No, you're good. Go ahead, because the next question is, and you mentioned God of War, so now I have to that's going to pull me into something here, because you have everything from God of War 1 to God of War 3 and everything in between, right?
Yep.
And then you have, in my opinion, the best, not even reboot, the best continuation of any video game franchise ever in God of War 2018. Like, that game is awesome. And Ragnarok comes out and tops that game. Story, narrative, artwork, design, combat, equipment, leveling up. Everything got better with God of War Ragnarok. So, with that being said, out of all the God of War games, are you old school or are you new school? Which one do you prefer? What's your favorite in the series?
I am definitely new school as far as, because I liked the Greek saga, but I'm more partial to the Viking, the Norse saga a lot more. That I click a lot more with that. As far as the 2018 version versus the Ragnarok version, everything they did in Ragnarok was great. The only two big hiccups I had with the Ragnarok is I did not care one way or another about anything that had to deal with the Atreus missions. I did not care for them. I played them. If I got to play through them to get through a story, great, but that wasn't my favorite part. It was just like kind of like the Mary Jane scene in Spider-Man. It was like, oh well, I got to do this to actually get to the
Don't do
meat and
that.
potatoes. Oh,
Don't do that
I'm
to
gonna do.
Atreus. Don't do
I'm
that to
gonna do that.
Atreus.
Atreus
Don't-
is a badass though. His combat is awesome.
Now, wait a
But
second, Phil Spencer. Which one is it? Were those your worst parts of the game, or was he a badass and it was cool and like you can't have both. Like,
a little bit. You
no,
can't have both. But I did not care for the Atreus missions. If they left that out, I would have been completely fine. But I know why they put that in. They put that in to sell possible DLC or possible Atreus' own storyline, and I will be very interested in that when Kratos is kind of just put on the sideline. He's like, hey, you go run your own thing. But the one and single only platinum I have in my entire PlayStation catalog is going to be God of War 2018. That is the game that clicked for me, whether it be gameplay, whether it be story, whether it be graphics, any other thing that's on the field. That is the one game that I absolutely got my platinum. I stood up and I said, wow, that is one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life.
okay, okay, okay. I will not yell and scream at you because I'm definitely new school. Like, here's the thing. God of War 3 is always going to mean a lot to me because that is the game that stopped me from going to the 360s. Because I was so close. I was so close. And so God of War 3 came out. Cursed, dear God, 101 platinums. And I know, dude, I saw somebody's profile the other day that had like 246, and I'm sitting here. I'm not a trophy chaser, but dear God, the amount of dedication that some of y'all put into these things to get like kill this person with an acid arrow 55 times. I'm like, I don't have the patience for that shit.
Oh,
So
no.
like, kudos to y'all. That's insane. I have one platinum, one, and
Yep.
it's God of War Ragnarok.
Oh,
And
really? You don't have 2018?
I am like 5 trophies away in 2018.
Dude, the platinum in 2018 is so much easier to get than Ragnarok.
Yeah, I mean, Ragnarok, I died repeatedly to some of those stupid challenges at the end. Like,
Oh, those
if
not the Valkyries, but the other guys.
the yeah, in Muspelheim or mess whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I don't do well with names. If y'all have watched any of my reviews, y'all know that I'm going to butcher every single name that's in a video game. I just suck at them. And it's because in Arkansas we're illiterate, and so it takes us a long time to be able to actually read and pronounce things. And so I mean, it's not much better in your neck of the woods, but it gets a little bit
No.
better the further north you go. But
Don't
it's
not don't no don't even try that one.
so it's to me in that franchise, God of War Ragnarok is the cream of the crop. I loved the polar opposite style of gaming. I
Oh yeah.
loved and what I mean by that is Atreus handled so much differently than Kratos. Like, so much differently. And I am super excited if they pull Kratos off into his own thing because that is going to be the most fast-paced, action-filled game. And anyways, I'm not going to go into it because I was about to get into heavy spoilers, like the in-game spoilers, and I don't want to do that. Crop cream, stop it, church, stop it.
So I have one more quick question for you while we're on the God of War subject.
Sure, sure.
If they throw Kratos into another game by himself, what mythology do you think they're going to throw him into?
If they do another Kratos, what are they gonna? Or if they do another God of War with Kratos,
So
what are
he's
they
done the
gonna?
Greek, he's done the Norse. Do you possibly see him going into the Asian mythology, or do you see him going into the Egyptian mythology?
So here's the thing, and honestly, I think they need to keep him retired. I think it's time for him to rest and take care of the Nine Realms. I think
Become the new Allfather.
I mean, essentially, but
Yeah.
that game, the end of the game kind of set it up for him to be better. You know, I'll never forget when he looks at Atreus in 2018 and says, it's not, you don't need to be sorry. You need to be better. Like, no shit, I use that line with my two children often. Like, it's such a well-hitting line in that game where you have a father looking at a child and going, listen, it's okay. Don't be sorry. Be better, right? And
Yeah.
so let him, the rest of that game sets it up in such a way where he won't even be all father. It'll kind of be all father by committee. If you, I don't want to, we're leaning into a bit more spoiler territory, so I'm trying to stay away from that because there's still Nelson Gaming just said
Fights Thanos.
Kratos fights Thanos. Sorry, I'm actually reading the chat now.
Yeah, this is the section of the show where the chat's going to chime in heavy.
Sure. Um, but so I agree. I'm sorry, not agree. I think that if they take him anywhere, it would have to be Egypt. Uh, I think you could do being giant related with the Atreus storyline. I think that would be more suited for um, like the more Oriental mythos, right?
Yeah, I think the
Um,
Mythos, I think is what it was.
because that's just kind of where I see that going. It'd be more, I think, Atreus' style. You could have him pick up a few different weapons there, do a few things. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I also am a sucker for games like Ghost of Tsushima. I'm a sucker for that atmosphere. I absolutely love it, and we don't have enough games coming out in that genre, or not genre, in that setting. So that would be super cool. I think
The
that,
the combat was absolutely dope in Ghost.
in
That's the
yeah,
game where everybody's like, well, when's Assassin's Creed gonna have an Asian or a ninja or anything like that saga in their games? And Sucker Punch comes out and goes, yeah, here you go.
right, and we're getting another Rise of the Ronin.
Oh,
Oh,
I cannot wait to see that one.
I hope that Rise of the Ronin is at the showcase. You know, kind of harkening back to the beginning of the show. It's one of those things where I'm like, I want to see Rise of the Ronin. I want to see Stellar Blade. And you know, folks are pointing out the obvious about the game. It is definitely a sex sells title. Like it's Sony's response to to the Red Team taking away Bayonetta, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's what it feels like. It feels
Yeah,
like
it's not a
a
game I'm gonna be able to play with the girlfriend's home.
no. I won't be able to play it around my kids. My wife will be fine. She's seen me play. I play JRPGs, so like she's seen stuff that's like, what in the world are you playing? And I'm like, honey, it's a cartoon. You'll be okay. Like
It's
it's.
anime. Don't worry about it.
I'm not. I'm not looking at Tifa and going, oh my god, I have a chance with her. I could date her. She's a freaking. She is pixels on a screen. That's it. No, sorry, cartoons have never been one of those things for me. Uh, but so my favorite franchise, and I'm going to go a little different with my answer because people are probably tired of hearing about it. But Final Fantasy X and the Final Fantasy series is bar none my favorite. But another close second, especially if you look at like playtime, uh, a close second for me is going to end up being Spider-Man. Like that franchise, it's I have 170 something hours in the first Spider-Man. I've beat it and the DLC pack twice, three times. It's the other game that I'm the closest to getting the platinum on, and it's one of those ones that the things that I have to do next are like stupid missions, and I don't want to do them. It's like all the you got to score, you got to get all gold in all your little traversal series and all your other bullshit, and I hate that stuff. Like I don't like constantly just working on the same thing over and over. So I'll never get the platinum for that. But the Spider-Man series is absolutely just it's right up there for number 2 with me next to Final Fantasy. And then my favorite standalone is Ghost of Tsushima. Like it's not a franchise yet. They haven't given us the official announcement. It's not, we don't know that it's getting a sequel. We know it's getting a movie. But like those games are, if when somebody buys a PS4, because I still go into my local game store here, that is when somebody buys a PS4 and I'm in there, I'm like, hey, listen, go over to the shelf, get Horizon Zero Dawn, get Last of Us, get Spider-Man, and get God of War 2018. And that will give you about a month to 2 months, depending on your gaming habits, of just sheer 100% beautiful content to play.
But you don't even have to do that now because all those games are in PlayStation Plus Extra, right?
Yeah, but okay, so yes, but because I'm still a fan of physical media,
Yeah.
I am, and I went to college with the guy who owns the local game store here, and I don't like mentioning his name because he's a YouTuber. He has his own channel and it's pretty big, and I don't want to act like I'm clout chasing for
Yeah.
anything. But he is a wonderful dude. Him and his wife are fantastic human beings, and so I like to be able to help them out and
Support
spend
the
my
small business and whatnot.
right. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I bought Titanfall from them.
Oh, Titanfall is amazing.
Did you know that it runs at 1440p at 60 frames per second? I'm just going to point that
Titanfall
out.
2 is one of my favorite shooters.
Yeah, I mean,
As far as the story campaign, whoa,
dude,
the relationship you have with your suit, oh my god.
it's nuts. Like it's about a 6 to 8 hour campaign,
Yeah, it's not
and
very long at all. It's way too short.
I'm telling you. So Wooly was talking to me about it a lot, and I was because I had mentioned that BT7274. Yeah, let's not talk about BT. Anyways, so the end of the
Did
game.
you finish the game?
Uh-huh. So
Oh, I
the
think I remember you were last episode. You hadn't quite gotten there yet.
and I finally finished it,
Oh.
and it is the biggest roller coaster for the last 2 hours that leaves you just like gut punched. And then they set up number 3, and we never freaking get it. And I'm not happy. Like,
Yeah, well, that's where PlayStation needs to come in, and they need to save the day. They need to get a hold of EA. Go, hey, you see what we did with Spider-Man? Because Xbox didn't want anything to do with them. Yeah, oh, give it to us. We'll make it happen.
So there was a quote given by the developers over at Respawn when asked if Titanfall 3 was a possibility, and his exact quote, I believe. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say exact quote. That's hyperbole, and the internet are trolls. So the quote was basically, "Listen, we would love to make a Titanfall 3. We've spit the idea out there several times, and if it comes out, it's going to be more multiplayer focused, probably more games as a service, okay?" And I'm sitting here, and that made my heart sink a bit. But that's actually a game that I think has enough people who want it that you'd sell a crap ton of them because people want to play the story, and then you could also build off of the community and microtransaction the hell out of it. I'll just play the story. But like, it's a game that most people want, right? And so I don't know. It's one of those that I bought from them. I try to, I try to go in and I have a few certain games that are still on my list of, titles that I want, and I go in there constantly. They are the place who I pre-ordered my Final Fantasy 16 copy from, and you know, I I want the or I want the deluxe edition, but they didn't get enough pre-orders signed up, or their distributor wasn't able to get it for them. But I've still kept my reservation there because I want to support my local business, and I'd rather not give it to GameStop, who is one of the worst companies out there when it comes to gaming sales.
Yeah, we'll sell you a game for 60, and then we'll turn around a week later and give you, 15 for it. In-store credit. Ugh.
If you want cash, it's 12.
Yeah. Oh God. No. Nope. I'll just keep the thing. I made the purchase. You guys can go fly kite. I'm done with you.
Y'all can have a nice day. Like that's.
I would rather give it to a friend of mine before I take $15 on a $60 game.
So, last question, okay, and then we'll call it a night.
Yeah.
I do want you to be able to plug your Twitch channel, because I applaud anybody who wants to take the risk of, streaming. I actually, side note, I feel like I'm starting to make it in this little sector of the world on YouTube, because I had my first jackass on Twitter,
Oh,
and
really?
oh, dude, I blocked him in a heartbeat. He came out attacking like my character, and all I posted that I got my coffee from Reforge, right? Uh,
Yeah. Got one of those
and
Reforge haters.
and he was like, well, he was saying it about me, I think, and he was like, "What'd you send him?" He said a lot of stuff, but basically he came in and was making accusations that, like, I like small children, and I, am just a lonely dude who likes to, like, there was a lot of implication with what he said. And I sent it to Reforge. I was like, dude, do you know this dude? He goes, I've never heard of that guy in my life. He goes, but I just blocked him. I sent it to the Saltiest Gaming Pod, and immediately that just, it was funny, and we all laughed it off. And, Church reached out to me and was like, dude, that sucked. Welcome to the internet. Like,
Yeah, that's what it is, and that's why I never plan on like going full scale into like opening up my own channel, or going massive on Twitter. I've got better stuff to do without dealing with some idiot on Twitter or YouTube or whatever.
yeah, it's messed up to me how people can do that. So kudos to you for trying to get that set up. I think there's a huge market for it, especially if you can find that one game that people like to watch you play. Like, I tried to get that off the ground with Trails from Zero, but dude, I'm just gonna have to stop that, because now that I'm past the prologue and past chapter one, like, most folks just come in there just to hang out with me, right? And I had this whole idea of grandeur that I was just gonna stream this game. Surely there's a ton of retro people who would love to come and watch you play a retro RPG, blah blah blah. And my view count on it has slowly gone down. And I think the reason why is, well, twofold. One, the game has a ton of dialogue, but
Yeah.
two, you're going against other people on a Friday night who have these bases of people that are in the same circles that I'm in, that are like going to their streams, and that's fine. I sometimes pop over into their streams because I like their content. Uh, and so I'm really just about to cancel that. So once again, kudos to you. I think that once you find the right combination, and if you can kind of figure out exactly what people want to watch, like I don't think I don't think you'll have an issue. So let's get into my last little tidbit. What game are you most excited for this year that's been announced? Okay, like I'm not talking about rumors. I'm talking about stuff that we actually have hard release dates, or at least a studio that has said, hey, it's coming in the fall this year. So, and I say that so we can include Spider-Man in that list. But what's your most anticipated?
My most anticipated is going to have to be Final Fantasy 16. And that's coming from a guy who has
Ooh.
not touched Final Fantasy since the OG Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation 1. And that's a game that I myself have never completed. That's a game that I watch my friends play. And, I watch them enjoy the game. And we would all, take turns, handing the controller around, big old group, and we would all play it, and we would go through the story multiple times. But it's one that I've never had on my profile. I've beat from start to finish. I tried playing Final Fantasy VII Remake on my PlayStation 5. I've got somewhat a little bit of ways into it, not massively, but with Final Fantasy 16, the Devil May Cry, which I love Devil May Cry, the gameplay, the art style, everything, and then they're gonna throw that gameplay into a Final Fantasy, in with their storyline and all that, and plus being kind of like medievalish. I'm totally down for that. That is going to be my number one most anticipated game. Yeah, it's gonna outbeat Spider-Man 2 for me. That's not taking anything away from Spider-Man 2. But Final Fantasy 7 is a guaranteed. Right now, it's not going anywhere, and I do not doubt that Square Enix is not going to deliver. They are going to come out here, and they were going to blow the roof off of this place. I mean, they dropped us, a 20-minute gameplay trailer a couple weeks ago, and I was just sitting there glued to my screen going, holy shit.
So everybody, or not everybody, but a couple people in the chat, Church said Pacific Drive, and then RoboCop Rogue City. He's gonna take that AJS love for RoboCop, and he's gonna will that damn thing into being a good game. It's going to be absolute dog shit, but he really wants RoboCop to be good. And Pacific Drive, it's one of those things where you put that you got to wear that special helmet on your head to play it, and
Hey, don't make fun of my helmet. I like my helmet, damn it.
I know. And listen, I just need the right game to come along to make me spend $550 to buy that stupid thing. Like,
Or get you a friend that's into that field and go try theirs out.
that's the problem. None of my friends have it. We all.
Dude, I took a pure gamble on PSVR 2. I never had messed with VR, and I said, hey, I got a PlayStation 5. I'm going to go throw $600 and try this thing out. And I did, and I like it. Has it earned my $600 quite yet? Not really. But I also I got 5 to 6 years to this thing, basically meets the end of its life cycle. So basically,
Oh, dude, they're talking with the Quest 3 that like they're not even able to get it to where games can like run well on it. Like they're having to push it back. It's they're having problems with it. Like there was this whole thing that AJS covered last week, I believe, and it's like they're having trouble over at Meta getting the Quest 3 to do well. Like, and to be able to have devs use it. Dude, we just had a Nate in the chat. That means that every single person from the Saltiest Gaming podcast has made an appearance tonight, interacted with the chat. I mean, guys, I really appreciate that. I try my best to do topics on my show that I don't think we're going to cover on TSGP, Also, Thursdays usually drops some more good news nuggets, as I like to call them. You know, RP, you messaged me earlier and was like, "Hey, can you send me the topics?" And I was like, "Yeah, but they keep releasing shit. Like, they keep they keep sending out stuff. Like the PlayStation stuff gets announced, uh, the PlayStation Plus stuff, those get announced,
I
and
was like, I woke up this morning on Twitter and they were talking something about Starfield being on PS5 or some junk, and I was like, what? What's going on? Like, I'm not gonna retweet this. I'm gonna try to do my investigations. Like, what are they talking about? Because that's like completely left field.
it's or oh my god. Uh, so Church Keys just sent me something. He's already pre-ordered RoboCop. Son of a bitch.
He's a big Robo fan.
Bro, he's had that shit pre-ordered since February. I'm sorry. I have to wait for a game like that for reviews on it before I not even reviews. I just want to see it. Like, let me
Oh,
see what it looks like.
have you seen the latest trailer for the Pacific Drive?
Yeah, no, I
Dude,
haven't.
that thing looks so much fun, and the fact that it's gonna have VR is gonna be so much better.
Now, is that another like is zombie type horror game?
I want to say it looks more kind of like a rogue like type game. So something alongside the Returnal aspect.
Uh, See, the problem is sorry, Church Keys just told me to drop it or there's going to be trouble. I want to push this a little further. So the
Do it.
problem with RoboCop is that unless you're 50 plus years old, you don't give a shit about the franchise. Like that was a franchise from that was like my dad's favorite movie, you know? And I'm 36, almost 37, and he's probably super excited because he actually is a gamer also. Uh, he's one of those casuals who he played Diablo 1, owns Diablo 3, or no, sorry, plays Diablo 1, played Diablo 2, has beaten Diablo 2 with every character, and has almost beaten Diablo 2 on every difficulty with every character. Like he's that guy. Like
Yeah.
and so I come by my gaming roots very naturally. But like that's a RoboCop quote. Oh, okay. Well, anyways, take your RoboCop and put it on the booster box and see how it works. Uh, I'm just
Busta.
listen. I think I'm so skittish with non first party PlayStation titles. Like I'll be honest, that's why I got the physical copy of Final Fantasy 16. It's not because I'm a collector of them. It's because if I want to take that thing back because it's dog shit, um, I can. Like
Oh,
it's
I'm definitely waiting for Final Fantasy 16 to launch, and I'm going to see reviews. I'm going to see gameplay, and then I'll order it.
no. Here's the deal: you got to be all in or not all in. If it's your most anticipated, that thing, just like Church, as off base and as weird as it is, at least he ponied up, ponied up, Sony. Anyways, at least he
No,
put his.
because I had the same thing with Jedi Survivor. Yeah, I was all in on that. Dude, I bought the $90 version, and then it launched, and it was kind of buggy, kind of skippy, and I was just like, well, I gotta take a week or two off and let this thing fix itself. So the pre-order thing, I just can't do anymore. Will I do it in the future? Most likely, because I make stupid purchases, and I can't stick by what I say. But I'm I'm gonna I'm gonna wait for the reviews to come out. I'm going to wait to see if it's going to launch before I go fully into it. And if it doesn't come out perfect, I'll hold off and maybe Spider-Man will come out and we'll go that route. But I've been burned so many times with these game launches whether it be Fallout 76, whether it be Jedi Survivor Order, or Fallen Jedi Survivor. I'm sorry, I just got done with Fallen Order. Whether it be No Man's Sky or whatever, there's just a lot of hype and over promising, under delivering, and it's really starting to bite me in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very big on um, I'm very big on wait and see because
Mm-hmm.
it the only reason why I did Final Fantasy, because I'm like you, I don't pre-order games. I just don't. I don't care enough to pre-order them. But with Final Fantasy, I've been a part of that series since Final Fantasy 7. And so I've played 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 to 13 uh, for like an hour, so I don't even really count that. Uh, 13, Lightning's Return, 15, and now I'll be playing 16. I've played Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus. I've played a couple of the mobile titles. Like, I love Final
Oh, you're
Fantasy.
a Final Fantasy nut.
Uh, in except for the retro titles, yes.
Yeah. So
Uh,
like the remasters they recently put out, the 1 through 6.
I have never played them, and I'm hoping that my wife somehow has that for my birthday and is like, that's what I'm getting. That's what I want.
Just a couple subtle hints won't hurt.
Dude, I can't drop them any harder than I am right now. Like
They
it's
look really interesting. I wonder how they would play on the Switch. I really do.
well, and they put some QOLs in there that are going to be really awesome, like quality of life changes.
Yeah.
And man, that so my most anticipated game is Final Fantasy 16, and second for me is Stellar Blade, and I'll explain why. I
It's the yams.
no, it's because I liked Parasite Eve,
Oh.
and this
Oh.
the game gives me heavy. As a matter of fact, when they did the reveal trailer for the game, I straight up was like, "Oh my God, we're getting a Parasite Eve. They're bringing it back. Holy shit, they're giving us." And then I was like, "What the fuck is Stellar Blade?" Like, because I was
See,
like,
I
"This
seen
is
Stellar Blade and I thought immediately Bayonetta.
yes." And the more I thought about it, I mentioned that earlier. The more I thought about it, I was like, "Oh, this is response to the red team taking it away and
Mm-hmm.
making it exclusive." I get it, but like I'm not I'm not necessarily anticipating Spider-Man. I'm excited for it. I'm going to play it. It's my third game that I'll be purchasing at full price this year, but I know what I'm going to get with it. I'm going to get an amazing game that runs well, that tells a beautiful story, that has wonderful interwoven characters and story arcs for each character, and I know what I'm getting.
Didn't they
Final
say that this the like completion hours were like what, 150?
for Spider-Man?
No, for Final Fantasy 16.
I mean, that's any Final Fantasy. So like,
Yeah, but like to do the story was like what I think was like 80 hours, and then like the completion was like 120 to 150. I can't quite remember
I think the
numbers.
story is like I think the story's like 45 hours, but they're saying with all the cutscenes included, there's wasn't it like 30 hours of cinematics or some shit? Like it was insane. There's so much in the game that's cinematics. Here, let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Hang on. Let me do this. Hours to beat. Fantasy.
I know, yeah, I know somebody put it out there a couple weeks on ago on Twitter and
Okay,
YouTube and whatnot.
it's going to take 35 to 40 hours to
That's right,
complete
and 80 hours to
and 80 hours to 70 to 80 to do everything.
yeah, that sounds
Um,
right.
beat okay, and then we're going to do Final Fantasy cutscene length because I think it was a lot.
Like probably like 5 or 6 hours.
11 hours. So
Oh.
this it's it's going to be. I don't even think they've given us a download size yet. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna have like half the Star Wars series right there in the cutscenes.
right. And so I'm excited about it because, but I'm also, it's my most anticipated because they're changing the combat, changing the way that you interact with your party members. They're changing the way you interact with the summons, which they're calling icons in this.
Mm-hmm.
They're changing the way you pronounce Ifrit, which really fucking bothers me. Oh, it's not Ifrit. It's anyways, we're not going to get into that because it's their damn game. They can call it what they want, but that's not how you pronounce that shit.
Dude, I watched the trailer that they had dropped, the gameplay trailer and whatnot, about a week or two ago. The icon battles, most of the game is kind of like a little bit bland, washed out looking a little bit. But when they came to the icon battles and all the stuff, the particle effects and what was going on with the screen, I was like, this is going to melt my PS5 into a freaking puddle. It was insane. I was like, there is no way. Like, I'm gonna look over, the screen's gonna go black. I'm gonna look over, and there's just gonna be this black rolling smoke come out of my PS5. Like, yeah, I give up, dude. I'm tapping out.
With the liquid metal just dripping out of it.
Yeah, we're done. We can't handle this crap. Yeah. Wait until the PS5 Pro, and you can try your hand at this shit again because I ain't doing this.
That's what it feels like, right? It feels like part of it feels like this game is going to be 150 gigs. The other part of me thinks that because they've only releasing it for one system, that they've optimized it for the PS5, that they've done all this other stuff, that freaking title is going to come out and be about 95, maybe 100, and it's going to be amazing. So that's kind of why it's my most anticipated. I get excited for things that are new but familiar at the same time, right? Like
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok excited me because you're getting a new weapon, you're getting to play with other characters, you're getting to flesh out two separate storylines that are merging and interweaving with each other. And so, like, that stuff is really cool. That's what you get for thinking. Don't do that again. Yeah, no shit.
There's absolutely no thinking going on here.
There's not, no.
No.
But
this is two tired guys at 11:30 in the evening.
Speaking of that, it is going to be time to get off. So, RPGaming, let us know what your Twitch channel is and where we can find you on Twitter.
Oh, well, the Twitter is going to be RPGaming. YouTube, I don't have anything set up on YouTube. And my Twitter, I do not actually have my Twitter wrote down at all.
Okay, so his Twitter is r.p. gaming 88. It's r.p. gaming 88. And that'll get you to his Twitter. Do you have your Twitch stream set up yet?
My Twitch is set up. I just don't have my my ID handy.
I got you. It's
I'll send that to you. You can pin it in the comment afterwards.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll get all that done first thing in the morning before I head out to work. But man, I appreciate you coming on. As always, guys, you can find me at ThriftyPSGR. My PlayStation handle is ThriftyPS_GR because apparently something was offensive about ThriftyPSGR. I don't know why. It would not let that stupid thing go through. And nobody else had it because I searched for it. But that's me on PlayStation. I am on the Saltiest Gaming podcast every Thursday at 7:30, I believe. Do we start at 7 or 7:30? Holy shit, I don't remember.
I want to say 7.
That's right. We start at 7 because I don't have to help getting the kids to bed on Thursday nights. It's one of the reasons I love the podcast. Like it's a free night for me. But Thank y'all for stopping by. Thank y'all for the likes. We actually broke another record for the channel tonight. Y'all are...
Yeah, I thought I seen at least 16 at the top.
We had 19 at one point.
No, 19. Nice.
We had 19. I gained a few more subs tonight. Puertorock was awesome. Once again, check out his stuff, guys. If y'all want more of that kind of free flow type of content where it's like not guarded at all, dude spits facts and he spits them well. So go check his stuff out. Like I said, that'll be pinned in the description when the video rolls over into a full-on video. And yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. This is Thrifty's This is Thrifty's Gaming News Podcast. Lord Jesus. I'm so tired. Y'all have a great night, and we will call it on that, guys. As always,
see you next Wednesday.
Be a cheap bastard and stay thrifty.